Welcome to Writers Blockbusters, the show where we treat the final edit of the movie like the script. I'm one of your hosts, Bob Rose, at Thundergrunt Bob, and right now, Jamie's going to introduce himself.
Hey, I'm Jamie Nash. I am the writer of Save the Cat Writes Horror and Save the Cat Writes for TV and the Save the Cat Beat Sheet Workbook. I'm also a screenwriter. That's all you need to know. Find me at jamienash.net.
Jimmy?
I am Jimmy George. I am a screenwriter and script consultant, and you can find me these days at scriptbutcher.com.
150 episodes. We finally did it. It only took 8 years?
10 years. Or this is year 10, man.
Is it year 10? I don't know anymore. Nothing matters.
Well, technically. It's weird. It's complicated.
Have we've been doing it for 10?
We started February of 2018, so calendar years not, but seasons of like new year of the show. It's complicated.
Whatever. 150 episodes. Yay. And the movie we chose was Sir Jimmy George's favorite film of all time.
Yes.
The Shawshank Redemption.
The anti-cheeseburger to an extent.
Yeah. A great movie that goes once again against our naming scheme. It's not a blockbuster.
I thought
we talked about that last episode. Yeah,
we did. So number 50, we did Back to the Future. Number 100, we did Jaws. This feels like a perfect opposite of that.
Right. It's good. Before we get into our discussion topics, we'll go around and just say something personal or a personal experience with the movie. I think let's say Jimmy, you should go last since this is your big one. Jamie.
Yeah, I usually love this part, and I usually have a long explanation or something. I have like nothing for this movie. I don't even remember when I first saw it. Like I'm not sure I saw it in the theater because I think I'd remember that. I think I saw it after the fact, maybe on DVD or something. Yeah, I just don't remember when I first saw it. So I don't really have. Here's the weird thing. It's not a movie I rewatch. I don't rewatch hardly anything. I'm not a rewatcher unless for things like this. So I feel like in my head I was like, I think I haven't seen it in 20 years, but I have like the whole movie memorized. So I must have seen it many, many times. Like it's like there was nothing really new about it when I rewatched it. Like I feel like I've seen this movie like 10 times or something. And I have no memory of when or why or how, or, you know, I guess I just watch it when it comes on or whatever. Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, I don't have much. I mean, I'm a fan of the movie, other I wouldn't have watched it. Like I said, I rarely rewatch movies, but this one I know the beats pretty well. I know the movie pretty well.
Awesome. I mean, I'll say this, like I have a similar story to Jamie's non-response. In that I was thinking as I was watching it for this episode, I was like, you know, we've done episodes on The Wizard of Oz and It's Wonderful Life, and in both those episodes, we talk about at the beginning that both of those movies, when they were originally released, was just like nothing, and how they became these, you know, pillars of cinema is through just being on television constantly. And I was thinking I am exactly that with this movie. Like, yes, I watched it on TNT constantly. It was just on. It was like you turn on TNT. I'm talking like 20, 25 years ago. You just turn on TNT at any time of the fucking day. And there's a 50% chance this movie is on at some scene. And that's how I fell in love with it. It was just watching it on television over and over again. I didn't see it in the theater. I had no the only reason I knew of its existence is because of a joke in Ace Ventura 2. Like seriously, that's the first time I even heard the name was Ace Ventura saying it as a joke. So like, yeah, it's just rewatching it with commercials on cable. That's how I fell in love with it. There's like Jamie, I have no special story or anything, just constant repetition. So yeah, that's it.
All right, my turn.
Yeah.
So for anyone who doesn't listen to this show, we have a list of, we're 150 episodes in, but Jamie, Bob, and I have a list of 10 movies we want to talk about, like during the lifespan of the show, and we haven't. This is only my second, and now we've talked about 2 from each of those, so we have 8 left. But
we can add more.
Oh, when we'll indefinitely add more. I have like 10 alts under my list already on there.
I don't even like half my list anymore. Like I don't like those.
I personally hate Jamie's list. All Jamie's picks are awful.
Yeah,
I hate them.
I'm sick of them.
No, but we should be. Bob and I, we always joke like when we find a movie that Jamie's stoked about, we're like, we got to do that one like tomorrow.
We do the Jamie pick first.
Like, so I'm surprised we haven't done like all of Jamie's picks already.
I mean, I'd add to my list, but like we already do K-pop Demon Hunters and things like that. So too late.
That's right, Jamie with the K-pop love.
Loves K-pop.
So for me, for a couple reasons, I want to talk about this movie. First of all, it's one of the first screenplays I ever read. So when I was first starting in 1999, so this movie was only 5 years old. This is one of the first screenplays I went and dug up, and I read it and loved it, and I learned a lot from it when I was when I was 19. And the second thing is, like, I come back to it. It's definitely my favorite movie, and every time I watch it, I think it's not going to be my favorite movie anymore. Because like you, Jamie, I often change as I get older. I watch something that I loved before, and it's problematic, or there's something that doesn't connect with me as a 46-year-old man.
Yeah, like for me, Porky's used to be number 1 on the list, not anymore.
Yeah, no Porky.
Yeah, Porky's 2 still is on the list.
Okay,
that's not. Yeah, I want to make sure you clarified that.
Yeah.
But the
next episode, Porky's 2.
But this one next, 151. It's coming.
We're saving for 200.
So we'll do an Asylum movie for number 200. But every time I revisit it, sure enough, I feel the same. Often I like it even more. And for me, this is like when I watched Rocky for the show. It hits so much harder the older I get. Like Rocky, it feels a lot like life. Like, I think that's why. I know, Bob, we were talking about like, how do you even quantify like when you love a movie as much as I love this movie? But I do think that it captures the human spirit in a way that most movies don't. Like, it feels almost like a documentary to me. Like, there's often times where as much appreciation I have for every aspect of the craft and every professional on screen and all the aspects of it, I find myself so immersed that I feel like I'm watching people, not actors. I feel like I'm watching a documentary. And like, life can feel like a prison, and like good people suffer, bad people succeed, good people do bad things and can't ever find their way back to the good person they were. Life has a way of feeling very unjust, and I think this movie captures that in a way that like no other movie does for me. And so like there's something about that I just keep coming back to. And I also, one of my favorite types of stories is, are we the sum of our worst mistakes? And I think that this movie explores that in a way that like no other movie does. So that's really what it comes down to for me. Yeah. It is still my favorite movie, and I don't care if people say that's a lame answer, a hack answer, but it's still my favorite movie.
And you've had, just to clarify, you actually have had people say that to you.
Oh, yeah. In the early days where I would like actually engage in like internet arguments on screenwriting Facebook pages, they'd be like, what's your favorite screenplay? And see, this is the distinction, best versus favorite. I have an issue with those terms. Right. I never use the term best. I always use the favorite, because I don't think my opinion is better than someone else's.
Subjective,
so
objective.
It's favorite, not best. And people are like, what's the best screenplay you've ever read? And I'm like, well, my favorite screenplay is Shawshank. And they're like, you're so lame, dude. I'm like, okay, I guess
How old was the person saying that?
I think they were older than me, dude. But anyway, I love this movie. I'll wear it on my sleeve, man.
It does seem like a movie that I think I saw an interview with Frank Darabont like today. I was watching interviews with Frank Darabont, and he said it's a movie where people come up to me and tell me it gave them a reason to live.
Wow. That's awesome.
That's pretty. I mean, I feel like you don't even need to explain how this movie would do that. Like, it actually makes sense if you just seen it.
It does.
Once. You know, you don't like you can quantify it, probably break it down and everything. We'll talk about it, but it's kind of obvious, right? Like, it's all about hope.
Yeah, like Porky's.
Like Porky's or Porky's
no,
too.
Porky's
Mainly
too,
Porky's
Jamie.
too. Right, like Porky's too.
You know what's funny? You know what's funny? I've never seen Porky's. Like that was a movie that was very popular when I was a kid. Like everybody talked
Twist
about
ending.
it. I never saw it.
Yeah, I've seen all four.
Okay.
They're
time for
wonderful pieces of cinema and screenwriting. Especially the sequels are just so far superior. Okay. Jamie, what was the extremely big box office on this behemoth of cinema?
Yeah, so where do you think in the top 100 movies this movie fell in the top 100 list?
You mean like the top 100 movies if ranked by box office?
Yeah.
Box office of 94?
This might be domestic, so I know it's...
Like, are you saying of 94 or of...
Of 94. Mm-hmm.
Oh, this probably was like in the 20s.
I'd
right?
say 75.
75? Mm-hmm.
I'm saying 29.
29? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So it was number 95.
Oh. Whoa, forget it. Fuck. I was trying to be optimistic, I guess.
Bob had hope.
No. I had hope. Yeah, I watched Shawshank Redemption and I had hope.
Now, what's more shocking, though I think I understand that, is Richie Rich was number 96.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. But that came out in December.
You have your own McDonald's?
That came out in December, so
that's
probably
going to be
split.
episode 200 right there.
Yeah.
Yes, their movies like Miracle on 34th Street came out, a movie that was in the public domain and made 17 million. Shawshank only made 15. So let's see what else. Just to give you an example, number 66 is The Cowboy Way. We remember this
with Kiefer Sutherland. Right? That's Kiefer Sutherland, right?
Maybe. I don't know.
Bob's testing his Blockbuster manager.
I'm always possible.
Number 48, Beethoven's Second at 27 million. Yes.
Arguably the best Beethoven. The Wrath of Khan of Beethoven, of course.
Number 43, Major League 2 at 30 million. So
shot in Baltimore.
Yeah, man. They just ruined Camden Yards.
They ruined Camden Yards for it.
Yeah, I'm surprised that didn't make more money.
I love Major League too.
Yeah, because we're all from here, I think that movie looms larger, like with some big hit.
It does.
Yes.
Yes. No. At first I was going to say this movie beat it, but it did not. But it did edge out Three Ninjas Kick Back. It made a little bit more money than that. So that's
it did. Okay.
Yes, it did.
Oh, okay.
It did. I kind of wish Three Ninjas Kick Back made more money, but it did not.
It's kind of funny. What was the top 5 of that year?
Top 5.
Just so we get an idea of like what was working.
I think can I guess number 1?
Yeah, and I was surprised. I would have guessed wrong. So go for it.
Forrest Gump.
That's what I would have guessed. Forrest Gump was number 2 in that year.
Number 1. What came out there? Forrest
Independence Day?
You're kind of in a weird direction. No, I don't know when that came out, but not
Pulp Fiction.
Then?
Pulp Fiction came out that year, but not in the top.
It didn't make that much money.
Yeah, number 19 at $62 million. So number 1 was The Lion King. $295 million.
Juggernaut, man.
Yeah.
Right.
And Forrest Gump was a real juggernaut that year. It just beat out Forrest Gump by literally $1 million. In this.
Wow.
So Forrest Gump won over Shawshank for Best Picture because they both were nominated.
It took all the awards.
Everything was nominated. Shawshank was nominated against Pulp Fiction and Forrest Gump. for like
Yep.
half the categories.
Yeah. And Forrest Gump took down everything pretty much that year.
Yeah.
It
Right.
won a lot of stuff.
Also on my list, twist.
Yeah.
You'll
Sneak
get
peek.
and you'll get so much more shit for
I'll
Forrest
get
Gump.
torched, man.
Oh,
I
yeah,
don't
Torched
care.
for Forrest Gump.
No, that-
People hate Forrest Gump. Like
No,
hate it.
The
So,
weird thing is when that movie came out, everybody went to see it and everybody loved it. Like you almost couldn't find a person that didn't like Forrest Gump back then. And then as years went on, most people don't like it. And,
it's a political movie that for a lot of younger people doesn't age well. So we're not going to talk about that.
So
if we ever do Forrest Gump, we can talk about it.
We're doing it. It's on my
We
list.
can do it. Okay, yeah, let's do it.
other movies in the top 10 here, True Lies at number 3. I wouldn't have guessed
3.
True Lies was 3. I would have thought that
That's
It's
was
the
like 8.
Arnold factor, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess you're right.
Yeah.
Now, it almost made half the money as Forrest Gump at number 3. So that shows you it's a big drop off at 146. The Santa Claus at number 4.
Damn.
The Flintstones at number 5.
Oh, shit.
So you got the Lion King, the Santa Claus, and the Flintstones all up there in the top. Clear and Present Danger at 122. Speed at 118. The Mask at 117. Mrs. Doubtfire at 1. If I would have guessed,
we used to have it all. We used to have it all.
Yeah.
Listen to the fucking variety on that list.
Yes.
We used to have it all.
And number 10, rounding it out, Interview with the Vampire.
Yeah,
is
that's good.
at almost 100 million.
Dude.
Ooh. Cinema will never
What
be the
happened?
But I'll even give you the next two though. We have Maverick, which I kind of thought was fun.
I like
Maverick.
And then, but here's the big one: Schindler's List is on this right there at number.
That
12.
feels right though. I mean, Schindler's List is going to be number 1.
So is JP was 93. Jurassic Park was 93.
I think
that must have been because he made them back to back.
Wait. Schindler's List came out in 94.
So here's the thing:
it won Best Picture.
It came out December 15th of 94, according to this.
But the Oscars didn't count it.
I guess, which is weird because usually that means it does count toward
right.
Interesting.
So I'm not exactly sure.
How does that work? Because it did win Best Picture.
Yeah, and it probably made more money than this domestically.
This is like
because of December.
Perfect 150th episode listing right now. We're just
What does
swimming
this mean?
in this nostalgia.
Here's a weird little nugget of weirdness that I don't think they do anymore. But I saw a double feature of the Santa Claus with House Guest.
Wow!
At a movie theater in '94 with my friends. Like they did it for like some promotion. It was like you get to watch House Guest, the Sinbad movie House Guest.
There used to be
Santa Claus.
This is kind of a thing I've always wanted to ask Kevin Perkins, our mutual friend.
Sure.
I'll name drop. But back in the day, I used to go see these double features on Saturday nights that were previews. It was like 2 weeks before the movie came out, but they were always double features. Why were they always? It was almost like there was a law. They had to be a double feature. Like you couldn't,
just show one.
They always, and sometimes it was a really weird and awkward double feature, but it felt like they almost had to do it. For maybe that's the only way they could charge, or I don't know what was going on.
Weird.
Have you seen that now? I haven't seen anyone do that now.
No, not in like 30 years. Not since I've known Kevin Perkins. Kevin Perkins is a friend of ours who used to kind of run the preview screenings here.
Whenever me and Jamie talk about seeing movies together, it's because we were with that guy.
Yes. And
yeah, that's why.
I kind of always meant to ask him about that, and I never did. I'll have to shoot him a message after this.
It's a good question, but also it's just like it's weird that it doesn't, like, studios don't offer that at all anymore. Like, come and see our 2 newest movies back to back.
I saw Back to the Future that way. That's how I saw it. I saw it like a month in advance as a double feature. Maybe not a month, 2 weeks in advance as a double feature with some other movie that I don't remember. And I had no idea what I was walking into with Back to the Future.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
God, the other movie must have seemed like not great.
Yeah, how do you
know what I mean? You can't like put it up against Back to the Future.
I mean, I saw a lot of movies that way. I remember seeing Above the Law that way. And just all kinds of movies.
Another
dude, Above the Law.
Above the Law.
Out for Justice and Above the Law.
Oh
Okay,
my God.
so Jamie, who wrote this shit?
Stephen King wrote this shit. No, well,
Well,
kind of.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Stephen King wrote a novella in his book Different Seasons. It was like 100-page novella in there, which also has Stand By Me, if I'm
Body,
remembering
yep.
the body.
Yep.
And I don't remember what else. Here's the weird thing about Shawshank, and I think this is why I didn't see it in the theater. I read every Stephen King novel back then, and I read The Body, and I remember, Rita Hayworth and the Shawshank
And the
Redemption.
Shawshank Redemption.
Yeah. I remember reading that, and to this day, like I went to look it up for this podcast. I honestly thought it was like a 20-page short story. I didn't think it had anywhere near the story this had, but I was kind of wrong. It does have a lot more than I thought.
Yeah, it's long.
It's long. It's like 100 and some pages. The only thing I remembered was, when this movie came out, the only thing I remembered was the poster and the tunnel. And that's all. I was like, oh yeah, that's that one that, the only thing really in it is the poster and the tunnel. There's not much to it. Like, it wasn't like, that's what I remembered in my head. Now I almost have to go reread it because apparently there was a lot more of a blueprint for this movie. Not a ton. I mean, it had to be fleshed out for sure. But this movie was adapted for screen by Frank Darabont, who we've done one.
The
Mist.
Mist.
Oh,
The Mist.
and we did Kingdom of the Crystal Skull as well, but not uncredited.
Oh, right.
Uncredited.
Right.
So yeah. So he wrote it. His career was, I think we talked about it in the Mist, but
We did.
Who remembers? It's 100 episodes ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who remembers? I certainly don't remember. That's the most.
I don't remember what we said on the questions episode.
Yeah, I don't remember what I said 10 minutes ago in the beginning of this podcast.
Did I bring up Porky's in this podcast? I can't
Something
remember.
like that.
Porky's too, dude.
So he was a guy, Porky's too. That's right. So he was a guy who got his start writing horror movies, and in particular, I mean, I guess he got his start writing horror movies by optioning what's called a dollar baby from Stephen King. Stephen King doesn't do those anymore. He took it down a couple years ago.
The program.
Yeah. Yep. To the point where 10 years ago, 12 years ago, I was looking at doing one. I think I even sent away. I did the whole process and got the quote unquote rights. So I'll explain what it is. He would put, and I don't know how it worked before the internet. like before the internet, maybe you just sent them $1. Maybe you knew about. I don't know how people even knew about it. Interviews. I'm not really sure, but I heard about it, through the grapevine over the years, and eventually it became a website. And it was a website. He'd usually put about 20 short stories on there. Like I think the myth was all his short stories were in there, but that wasn't the way it was.
No, he selected some. Yeah,
he selected them, and they'd come and go. They'd, sometimes they'd vanish and a new one would show up or something like that. And for $1, you could option certain rights to adapting into a short film. And when I say certain rights, like, I don't think you could ever, like, let's say you wanted to make The Woman in the Room a feature and make money off of it. Like, I don't think you could. Like, it usually was limited to certain film festivals. Like, there were certain rules about what festivals you could be in. I don't remember all of it.
But
anymore.
You could play with the Stephen King story, and that
absolutely
could get it instant attention. So,
but what I remember is you couldn't at the time like post it on like the internet or something like that. When I was, this is the back end of it, which is what most people would want to do today, right? And by the way, people would just do it now. They wouldn't even ask. They just do it and they post it on the internet. And as long as they didn't make money, probably Stephen King wouldn't yell at them. Probably. So anyway, Frank was one of the early people who did this in the days before people really knew, the days before the internet. In 1984, he made The Woman in the Room. And that short, which is on YouTube now, I think I looked it up during our Mist podcast and watched it. You can go watch it. That kind of broke him as a horror writer in Hollywood and a Stephen King guy to an extent. Apparently Stephen King really liked it, and that plays into the Shawshank thing as well. So after The Woman in the Room, and I feel like I know a lot more about A Nightmare on Elm Street 3, Dream Warriors, that I'm forgetting. Like I've forgotten like tons of information about like all the writers that worked on that and all the different iterations. Feels like I've listened to podcasts and things like that, but I have like zero knowledge of it right now to tell anybody. But he got screenplay credit on A Nightmare on Elm Street 3, Dream Warriors. Many people of my age's favorite Freddy movie, unless they're
Co-signed.
Yeah, unless they're like
I mean,
really deep Freddy people would never choose that. They choose like New Nightmare or something.
New Nightmare.
It would be it'd be more hipster Freddy kind of people. But,
it's just probably the most famous one outside of the first one. That's
yeah.
You know what I mean? It's everybody's favorite.
Everybody's favorite.
It's a cool one. It's a cool one.
It's cool. It's interesting. It's kind of subverts genres.
It's the Star Trek 4 of Nightmare.
It's one of my favorite horror movies as a kid. I loved it when I saw it. He wrote The Blob, the remake, The Blob.
One of my favorites ever. Yep. I love the remake of The Blob.
Dude.
He wrote The Fly. He wrote
So
The Fly 2.
Love it.
To be honest, I don't remember much about The Fly 2. The Fly is like one of my favorite movies.
Yeah. I love The Fly. I mean, I love The Fly more, but I love The Fly too.
I saw it once, and I don't remember much else. Then he wrote some things like Tales from the Crypt episodes, the Young Indiana Jones Chronicles. He wrote 5 episodes. He wrote for the Night Shift collection, which I assume is the Stephen King Night Shift.
It is.
Okay. And then he did the Shawshank Redemption. Interesting, he actually did the screenplay on Frankenstein in the same year. That was, I think,
Mary Shelley's Frankenstein.
There's a lot of
yeah
talk about that and how different the movie is than what he wrote and all this stuff.
Weirdly, I think that made more money at the box office.
It probably did,
but not much. But
Kenneth Branagh apparently went kind of nuts.
Yeah,
with what he wanted to do with Frankenstein. I kind of dig that movie, but it is nuts.
I was a huge Dead Again fan when that movie came out. That's a big one for me,
dude.
But, yeah, I love
someday we'll do it.
Yeah.
Did you read about like how this movie was acquired and who was originally supposed to direct it?
Shawshank. Go for it, because I read it, but I can't remember who it was.
It was kind of relevant in a depressing way. It was Rob Reiner.
That's right.
Rob Reiner read the screenplay and they like basically begged Darabont.
Oh yeah,
like they offered him the world to buy it so that he could direct
want
it.
Harrison Ford and the Morgan Freeman.
There's so many actors that were for both Andy and Red that the list is just endless. But I didn't actually know until now that Rob Reiner was going to direct it and tried his best, but Frank was like consistent it should have been him.
Yeah,
and he held out and then eventually Rob Reiner's company bought it and let him do it and supported him all the way.
Right.
Wow.
So even though Rob Reiner really wanted to do it, but he ended up being the good guy in the situation too.
Yeah,
so.
and I think Frank was like, he knew if he was going to be a director, he would never get a script this good again. So he was like, I'm going to stick with that.
And Rob Reiner knew probably when he read it, he was like, I want I want this. Oddly enough, the two guys who made the two best Stephen King movies, arguably, right?
Yeah, from the same.
Unless you count Kubrick, but you know what I mean, like Misery and Shawshank, and then you got The Shining, right?
Yeah. Well, I thought you were going to go Stand by Me.
Stand by Me,
and Stand by Me. Sorry. Yeah.
It's strangely enough, it's like that. That's the thing. If you say what's your favorite Stephen King movie, most people put Shawshank and Stand by Me, I think, at the top.
Or Shining.
And then The Shining for a certain crowd, for sure. For me, I'd probably be The Shining, but I just know a lot of people like these kind of I don't know, more weird, dark but hopeful movies that he made. I guess
there's a lot of Green Mile people too.
Yes.
Green Mile.
Yeah. So
So anyway, that's what I know about Shawshank. Did I miss anything?
Anybody?
No.
Okay.
Frank Darabont, has he directed the most? No, I guess not. Flanagan's probably directed the
Flanagan
most. Right?
is definitely.
Yeah, he's probably beat him. Before Flanagan came along,
probably. Yeah.
Darabont had 3, right? He's 3 Stephen King movies.
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah.
How about Mick Garris? How many did he do?
Yeah. Well, he
2?
probably has like I don't know how many
If you count-
TV projects
He
he
has like
so-
Sleepwalkers and The Shining
Stand,
and The
The
Stand
Stand.
and Tommy. No, he didn't do Tommy Knockers. I don't know. I'd have to look up Mick
Well,
Garris.
he probably hasn't beat then.
Yeah.
Either way, Flanagan is going to win that race.
Yeah.
In the end, so it doesn't matter. Okay. Do you guys want to talk about institutionalized?
Sure thing.
Sure.
Because it is a pretty big line in the movie.
Yes. So, as much as I love talking about the Save the Cat genres, I had to bring them up once again.
We had to. It's the genre expectation of our show, man.
Yeah, it felt like this was one I had to talk about this. So, Save the Cat genre, super quick for the 150th time. If you missed the other 149 episodes, the Save the Cat genres are an idea Blake Snyder put in his first Save the Cat book. Unlike genres like that you would know, like comedy and horror and things like that, and thriller, his genres are more story patterns. So I probably have said this 150 times. I hate that he used the word genre. So because it would have saved me all this time explaining that part. I would never have to explain this part. If he would have just called them story patterns, he could have saved me hours of podcast time. So anyway,
and real life time explaining it to students.
And real life
right?
time explaining it to students.
But
I could have just said
it's
story
important,
patterns.
though, Jamie. It's important.
I think it's important. I'm just saying if he didn't do the story genres, I would not have to start my ramble with that. I could just skip to story patterns. Blake, why did you do it? Why? Anyway, so these story patterns, there's 10 of them. There's just to give an example of these kind of patterns, Golden Fleece is one I always talk about. There's a trophy. There's a road to get to this trophy. This trophy could be metaphorical. It could be real, like in a sports movie. It could be like slaying the dragon. It could be throwing the ring in the Mount Doom or whatever it is. It could be any of those things, but there's usually like a road trip. It could be Chevy Chase going to Wally World. Wally World could be the destination, but it's usually some kind of quest or something like that. That's Golden Fleece. Monster in the House, which I wrote a book about, which you should buy right now. Hit pause, buy it, come back. Okay. So Monster in the House, we're back. Now that you bought the book and read the first chapter,
go to page. Yeah.
So Monster in the House is most of your horror stories. There's a monster. There's a person trapped in a house. They're battling for survival against some kind of monster in the house, most of your horror movies. So anyway, we come to one of the ones that you don't see a ton of, but you do see a lot. I mean, you see it a lot, but probably not as prevalent as Monster in the House, Golden Fleece, Buddy Love, Dude with a Problem, some of the other ones. And it's called Institutionalized. And if I had to guess, I think Blake saw this movie and was fishing for a term and called this one Institutionalized. And usually the way institutionalized go, are there some kind of institution, some kind of system, something, sometimes it's in a building. The one I always go to is One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
Sure. Yeah.
That's a popular one. Full Metal Jacket, the first half is kind of the military as the institution is a good example. And this one, I think the prison system, Shawshank, is the institution. And the idea is the person that comes into this institution ultimately ends up with 3 choices. And I think that it's really interesting in this movie because I think they go through each of the choices in some ways. And now I'm struggling to remember what the choices are. It's to join them, to burn it down, or to commit suicide. They're your 3 choices in an institutionalized story. And I think we see facets of all 3 of those in this movie. I think we see, a suicide. I think we see burn it down happens in the end for sure.
Yeah, he burns it totally.
I think the beginning of the movie is forcing to join, like it's forcing
Yeah.
Andy to
Yeah.
join. Now, I do think there's a fourth one that this movie kind of shows, and maybe it's a
Escape?
subset of Burn It Down. Not Escape, though that's certainly what happens in this one is Escape. That's usually not, because even in Cuckoo's Nest, he tries to escape. But I don't know why
mean,
Blake didn't put Escape on there, but
because it's like The Great Escape is institutionalized.
yeah,
And that's
yeah.
all about escaping. So
Yeah,
I mean, yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. I that he doesn't put Escape on there, but the one I was thinking of, I think he actually changes the institution in some ways.
Yes.
Yeah.
Maybe that's part of Burn It Down. Maybe it's a subset of Burn It Down. But Burn It Down seems different. Burn It Down
It's
seems scorched earth.
destruction. Yeah.
It's get rid of all the people, destruction. This will never live
Change
again.
is different.
Change is
Yeah.
different, and
And
this one,
maybe, Jamie, that's the subversive paint on the pattern here,
I
you know?
I think it's the movie's special sauce because
Yes.
this movie is, in a weird sort of way, what I always remember about this movie, and when I saw it, and what was special about this movie to me was it's kind of like what people get out of Ted Lasso now or something
Yeah.
like that. I think they call them hopecore movies, right? Because they're like
Mm.
they're hopeful and stuff. Now this movie isn't Ted Lasso. This movie has
No.
has murder, suicide, rape, all these
Yeah.
different horrible dark
Yeah.
things.
Yeah.
But the fact that our hero doesn't really I don't know what he doesn't go to the dark side for too long ever at one point. His hopefulness is challenged often,
Mhm.
but the fact that he kind of sticks with it is what always made this movie stand out as
Mhm.
unique and special to me. Is like, it'd be
So
easy to
Andy
have.
is really the special sauce to this
Yeah.
pattern.
And
yeah.
I think
Andy's
so.
Throwing
significant-
Andy into because I think what's cool about, because I love one of the first, we talk about needing genre expectations, right? And meeting those. But Jamie, also, it's about understanding what pattern you're playing with and then identifying that by studying similar titles,
Mhm.
your comps, and then using those like patterns to subvert. And that's like why those save the cat genres are so important. So I think it's a super useful tool, even though you get tired of bringing it up.
Yeah. And I mean, like I said, Cuckoo's Nest was a big movie. When I was a kid, Cuckoo's Nest,
also has the escape.
it does.
Yeah.
And it has a lot of similarities to this movie.
It does.
It's a new guy that comes in, he changes everybody, he meets all the people, everybody kind of changes and rallies around him. There's an evil, warden in Nurse
Yeah.
Ratched. She's kind of the face of the institution. And it has a lot of similarities, even, and that's what the genres are good for. You can kind of look at past movies that might be in totally different institutions, have totally different themes, totally different characters, but you might find some inspiration in some different, actual genres. Even if this one is, I guess they're both drama or something like that, but still there's a lot of inspiration to be found in other things that share the same story pattern.
The reason it works is hope, right? Is that
Mhm.
Andy, no matter how bad, it's basically every time we've ever talked about torturing someone and how you have to torture your main characters, who's
Yeah.
more tortured than Andy?
Which is on my
he's-
list. Yeah.
He still keeps going. He's the Energizer Bunny of hope.
I love that. That's well put, Bob.
Yeah. And well, it's a good segue into who's the protagonist,
Mm-hmm.
right? That's a
This
good
is one of the
question.
debates that came around a lot when I started studying screenwriting. And what are your thoughts on this, guys?
I would say Red. Personally, I feel like it's Red. I feel like it's his movie and his story, and he's living his story vicariously through another character that we're experiencing.
Yep, totally.
Also, just the way that it works is in like we're with Red, as in our knowledge of what's going on.
Yeah, he's
You know
our
what I mean?
perspective. Yeah.
He's our perspective character, but I can see how somebody could argue that it's not. It's
So
Andy.
I find this a complex question. I think this one goes a little bit to the Ferris Bueller slash, probably Ferris Bueller is a good example, in a weird sort of way.
An institutional.
Yeah,
No, just kidding.
yeah, an institutional. Yeah, no. What is?
He's
I don't
breaking
even know
free
what.
of the institution.
But I think here's the way I usually figure out the protagonist. It's like who's actively pursuing something, who's coming up against obstacles, and Morgan Freeman's character is passive, so he's very passive. So it's hard for me to think of him as the protagonist. However, on the flip side, the other question I usually ask myself is who changes over time, like who has the arc, the character arc, and that seems to be more Morgan Freeman's character,
Right.
and less
Yeah.
Andy's. So that's where I get the Ferris Bueller. Like Ferris Bueller is actively going on some weird quest and battling the obstacles and things, but doesn't really change, but changes the other people around them. So the other people actually, much like Back to the Future, we've talked about, does this too. With he changes his dad. So, and I'll just skip to that part. So I think there's a flat arc situation.
Oh,
here.
Jamie, let me before we go into that, let me and some of your stuff here, because
okay.
So like I'm going to use Stephen King's own words. So Stephen King, I had never heard of this term. So tell me if you guys have. The plain spun narrator. Is that something you've ever heard of before?
Never.
So this is the first time I'm hearing it, but it's apparently a really old term, like a writing technique that Stephen King said he chose a plain spun narrator as his approach for this novel, which he referenced Sherlock Holmes. I've never read Sherlock Holmes, but apparently Sherlock Holmes is told through Watson's observations of Sherlock. Yes. And so there's three defining traits of this style. It is the everyman voice. The narrator speaks in a grounded, unpretentious tone rather than sounding highly stylized. They focus on a legend. The narrator tells a larger-than-life story about a remarkable, larger-than-life friend. And it has a dual arc structure. By recounting the events of their larger-than-life friend's adventure, the narrator's own internal story and moral evolution are revealed to the reader. And I think that's what this is doing.
Yeah, totally.
So I've never watched this from a screenwriting perspective since we've been doing this show. So one thing that it struck me while I was watching is, do you guys remember what we were talking about with A Real Pain? And this is gonna come back in other talking points that both Jamie has and I have. Do you remember how Jesse Eisenberg, so we meet Benji in the beginning, right? And he's like a hard to love character. And Jesse Eisenberg, I'm going to bring back his quote from that we talked about on that episode. He said, "The story is told through David's perspective, trying to understand Benji. I wanted the audience to feel sympathy for Benji, a guy who's really hard to love. The arc is for the audience to fall in love with a character we didn't understand before, who's tough to take. And by the end of the story, our heart has opened for this person who seemed impossible to love 90 minutes ago." And I really think that that's what Shawshank is. I think it's a mystery about, I think Morgan Freeman is trying to solve the mystery of Andy's nature. Like, who is this guy? How is it possible that this guy could kill his wife, right? And
he's quiet. He talks about his features too. He's like he's quiet.
He's trying to understand.
He's closed book.
Who is
of
Andy?
A man.
And then we also simultaneously through it are trying to understand Morgan Freeman's character, because like we're like, it's the same thing, right? Like, how is it possible that this guy killed someone and ended up in jail for life? Because all we see is a very honest, good-natured man, right? And so like the whole story, we're having this dual experience of like there's a mystery of whether Andy did kill his wife, and there's a mystery about Morgan Freeman and how his character is going to unfold, and they're kind of like doing the same thing. But I don't know, to me, do
you ever actually feel that with Red though? I never experienced that watching this movie with Red.
Well, I think it's hard to remember.
I know, but I know
the first time you saw it, you probably weren't like.
I was probably young too.
Yeah.
to me, it still doesn't feel like, I don't feel it that I know he's a criminal and I know he murdered somebody,
Mhm.
but he's totally reliable to me
Yeah.
in every watch anytime I've ever
I'm
watched
not
it.
saying that.
And
I'm
that
just
might be
saying,
different for other people. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, but it's like
I'm already
y-
with him and how he sees the world.
I think we're put into to me this time around, when I'm looking at it from a craft standpoint,
Right,
I
right,
think
right.
when we start, we are put in the seat of those people who have the rubber stamp and are deciding upon Morgan Freeman's fate. And we don't know enough about him to know whether he deserves that rejected or approved, right? And every time it comes back, by the time it gets to the middle, like they're using that to like change. It's just like a real pain, right? We're
Right, right,
returning to
right.
the same
I
moment.
don't remember real
And
pain.
well, it's like we're returning to the same moment and we have a different understanding of the characters. Just like Clerks, when you meet Clerks, they're a
Yeah.
bunch of fucking assholes. And by the end, you're like, oh my God, I love these people so much. I totally understand why they're a bunch of assholes, right?
Right,
And we're
right.
returning to the same moments and they're giving and I feel like the movie is like trying to do that, right? We're going like, we don't understand how broken this system is. And we don't understand how broken Morgan Freeman is by the system. And we also don't understand how reformed he is or whatever. And then by the end, we're like, it's all broken. And that whole speech he gives at the end is like the lesson, right? From Red's perspective. Like, doesn't mean anything to me. Like, you just stamp your fucking thing. So I don't know. I do feel like the purpose is to try to understand Morgan Freeman through his learning about Andy.
And the moment I think that helps is, he says he's the only innocent man or the only guilty man in Shawshank.
Yeah. And he's serious about that.
He's
Yeah.
serious too. Like, he's admitting who he is and that what he
Mhm.
did.
Yep.
That helps. This kind of feels like
absolutely.
this term is almost the opposite of unreliable narrator.
Oh, reliable. Yeah.
That's a
He's
reliable
a
narrator.
totally reliable narrator.
That's a
Yeah.
reliable narrator.
But anyway, I don't know what the lesson is here from a writing standpoint, but I do think that, like, Bob, you've talked about a lot, like, information is not an arc, right? But
Right,
like a
yeah.
character learning more, but it's the same thing for us. Like, we just learn more about these characters. They don't really change. And I think Morgan Freeman just becomes a better version of himself. I don't think he changes. Like, he like remembers that he loved the harmonica. He becomes more of a person he used to be. Like, he like reconnects with his humanity through Andy. I don't know if we see him.
You could argue that
change,
that Annie gave him the tools to have hope again.
That's what it is.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
it.
Yeah,
That's
I mean,
it.
I think at the end of the movie he has more hope than
So
he
it's
did at the
hopeless to
beginning.
hopeful. Okay. That's
Yeah,
true.
I mean, he says
Yeah,
literally
that's
says
simple. Yeah,
hope is
yeah.
dangerous, and
Yeah.
then
Yeah, that's true. But anyway,
it's not an easy answer. It's not.
A real
Yeah.
pain was not what I was expecting to compare to when I
Right.
was watching it. But yeah, I
This
feel like
makes
what
me
Jesse.
think. Oddly, this made me think of 300, the guy who narrates 300.
Oh, okay.
Because he's like talking about the great legend that is, Leonidas or something like that. Like that kind of a
Mhm.
that's
Yeah,
a plain
that's
fun
true.
narrator, right?
Yeah, that's
Like
true.
a normal lesser character tells the story that we're seeing of the main character. That's what's happening here, right?
The legend. Yep.
So you
Yeah,
could argue that Andy is the main character. Because
that-
whenever they do this in other movies, you wouldn't say that guy is the main character, right? The narrator.
Yeah,
I
that's
don't know.
true. No,
Yeah.
it's a good point.
It's weird because it's like, who is the protagonist versus who is the POV character kind of thing.
Yeah.
Right.
And there's
Now,
and Morgan Freeman's the POV character, but I think in this movie Andy pretty much does everything. Like,
well, what's
it's his
cool is when
story.
we're gonna get to it later. The third act shifts the axis into more of a traditional story, and then it's all Andy being active. You know what I mean? Like, and having a plan, and that's why it further complicates this question.
I guess the question is, what do you guys think if you asked like non-script people this question? Who would they say? Probably Andy, right?
Probably Andy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like the average person would say Andy.
If you say who's the movie about, it's kind of about him.
It's
even
about
though-
Andy.
Yeah.
But who's the main character?
Because
It's
look,
like-
it's kind of like if I wrote a book about the coolest person I ever met, it's about the coolest person I've ever met. You know what I mean?
Right,
Because that's
right.
really what it is. It's like, it's kind of like Morgan Freeman's character is just saying,
Interesting.
he's like, let me tell you about the wildest person I ever met at Shawshank Prison. And then he goes on and tells the story of that person.
But it's like, I wonder what Forrest Gump would play like if someone else was sitting at the park bench.
It's funny. I think it would be
like
similar.
if Lieutenant Dan was the narrator for Forrest Gump. What is
Like,
that? Is that movie Lieutenant Dan's movie? You know?
Yeah, I think
who's the main character of Saving Private Ryan?
Yeah,
the narrator
is
question. You know how the narrator's Matt Damon, technically speaking.
Yeah,
and it's not narrated.
It's so complicated. Yeah.
But in this particular movie, there's almost this trope that I don't see a lot anymore, that I used to really like movies like this. It's kind of like the transformational catalyst figure, the mythic transformational character that drops into something. And there are movies like, the movie that comes to mind I saw as a kid was My Favorite Year. If you've ever seen My Favorite Year, or I don't know, maybe even The Great Gatsby or something like that. But there used to be a lot of movies like that. Dead Poets Society,
Yep.
Down and Out in Beverly Hills.
Yeah, dude.
Right?
I
fucking
love that movie.
What about Bob? Like, you just have that transformational character dropped in. And they change everyone around them.
And in this case, Andy's almost
one of those
like,
Elvira movies. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, and they're almost like, this legend. It's like the legend of the Shawshank guy. You know what I mean? Like, that's who he is.
The smartest guy who ever came to Shawshank.
Right.
Because that's why he's transformational, is his brain.
And you would almost expect, I don't really feel that in this movie, but you'd almost expect embellishment in the storytelling.
Yeah.
Like, that would,
like I said, he's too reliable to us.
Yeah.
I think he's presented
reliable narrator, Bob.
I think you're meant to trust him at every turn. I think that is intentional, in my opinion, but I could be wrong.
Yeah. Sorry, I cut off the Arc of Awesome. We'll get there. I just thought I wanted to keep talking about this.
Did you want to talk about 10? Do we talk about
I do. I just want to bring this up really quick.
Okay.
Jamie, I won't make you redo this whole thing. I'll keep it in previous episodes.
What were the genres again? No, just kidding.
Tell me more about Porky's too.
Yeah.
So in the past, we've talked about this technique that Jamie introduced to us called tensity, and it is from a blogger on a website called theoretical.com, spelled THEA retical.com. So check that out. And the simple way to put it is the Wizard of Oz episode, The Cowardly Lion. It's like two opposing character aspects that create something interesting. And did I do an okay job, Jamie, on that one?
Yeah. I think so, but every time you bring it up, it reminds me I have to reach out to this person to tell her we keep using her blog. But I keep forgetting.
She wrote one long blog post, and it's like one of the best I've ever read in my life.
That's it.
That's it. That's like, there's like one blog post on the website.
She hit send and she was like, I'm done. I have nothing left to give.
That's all she needed. So anyway, I just wanted to talk about Andy. I do think there's tensity in all the characters, but we don't need to go into that because we have a lot more to talk about. I didn't write down the 2 words to define him, but there was 2 things that struck me, which is the whole movie is an exercise in his tensity, which is a man with 2 life sentences who has hope.
A doomed hopeful.
That's fucking perfect. But the second one is it's also
an innocent villain.
It's also thematic. He's not really a villain though.
By the end, he is. He commits all those crimes.
I guess he could. There is a line about that.
He
too.
does.
I had to go to jail to become a criminal.
Yeah. He's an innocent criminal, dude.
This is the tensity that stuck out to me that I think is instructive. But going back to what I believe, which is the movie is a mystery about Andy's nature, and through Red's perspective, is a like a super force of human connection, whose every move is about getting people to connect, making people feel human. You know, the prisoner that comes in with him that dies, one of the first lines he says is, "What was his name?" And everyone in there is shocked because the notion of humanizing a fellow prisoner is so foreign to them. The system has erased their humanity so much they would never even think about, like, who's the name of the new guy. His name is Fresh Fish. You know what I mean? And Andy at every turn.
His name is Robert Paulson.
His name is Robert Paulson. A movie we need to do.
Yeah.
So he is like trying to recapture and keep the flame of human spirit alive in everyone around him in every scene, but he's a complete blank canvas. He literally says, like, "I'm a hard man to know." And we know so little about like his nature that we don't really get to connect with him until the third act. And I think that's fast. I think the movie is operating on the tension of trying to answer that, trying to be like, why is he this way? You know, and how is he possibly this way? So that struck out to me.
What's the tensity for that? What's the name?
I don't know, but I feel it.
Oh.
Like, what do you got, Jamie?
I don't know. The tensity, labeling the tensity is always the hardest part of it.
It is. But do you think it's there? Do you feel that too? Am I wrong?
Oh, for sure. No, I think
How
you're
about this
100% right.
Mysterious Everyman?
Mysterious Everyman.
What's he is kind of an everyman in a lot of ways.
Enigmatic. To amp that up, enigmatic Everyman is pretty good. Like,
that's pretty good. Yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah, it's kind of like unremarkable, mysterious. You know what I mean? It's
exactly.
But he's definitely remarkable.
He's definitely remarkable. His hope is what's remarkable, is what it is.
I would say his talent.
His lots about him are remarkable.
Yeah.
Now that you say that, yeah. So anyway,
okay.
On that note,
now let's get back to Jamie after we interrupted him for like 25 minutes,
17 minutes,
whatever it is. Arc of Awesome.
Arc of Awesome. Yeah. So Andy, I think, is kind of a classic Arc of Awesome character, even though he does grow a little bit within the narrative. Like there is some change within him, but again, I think it's rekindling of things. And I think I do think it takes much to change him, and the lessons really aren't there. He just kind of changes because he wants to, because he's that strong almost. Like they can't beat it out of him.
They push him an extra step.
They
make him more awesome, right? In defiance.
Right.
The movie makes it clear it's his choice what he's doing next.
Yeah.
It's not like them choosing it for him.
Yeah. So in a nutshell, a flat arc is a character who doesn't really change. They're kind of, or the arc of awesome, we like to call it, because they're awesome. They're so good already. They radiate awesomeness. And the world tries to change them. They try to beat out the awesomeness. They try to make them change their worldview. So in this case, if you put hope there or something, or not being beaten down by Shawshank, like to live a life in Shawshank and not let Shawshank, impose its will on you. He has that, and Shawshank tries to beat it out of him at every second. And then because he fights through it, he changes the world around him. So his arc of awesome is that he's so awesome that he changes things as he goes by keeping that shining light kind of despite the darkness around him.
Yep.
And I think he's a good example of that kind of character.
Elle Woods, we've talked about on the Legally Blonde episode. Yep.
Yeah.
Marty McFly is an arc of awesome.
Yeah. And Marty McFly, I'm not sure that people try to beat his.
No, there's not a system that the 1955 system that's beating him down, but the system's trying to beat George down.
I always jump to
Superman.
Superman is the one I always jump to, because it's like he's good, truth, justice, and the American way or whatever. And the world's like, yeah, but what if we kill Lois Lane or something, whatever. And he's got to fight through that. He's got to keep his hope alive despite, like, the world hates him now or whatever in a Zack Snyder movie or something.
Or it's so easy for him to. It's also for a character like him. It's so easy for him to do bad things.
We've done two Zack Snyder references on.
That's true.
I'm just laughing about that.
We should do a Zack Snyder movie
all
at
the
some point. We
people.
got to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've never done a Zack Snyder movie.
No, we've never done a
No.
Zack Snyder.
That's
Okay.
okay.
We'll do that Netflix one.
God.
Oh, God in
The
heaven.
space
I don't
opera.
even want to. No. Yeah, okay. Repetition and before and after snapshots.
So I'll start with the repetition. They kind of go hand in hand. That's why I ended up putting them together. So it's like one of the most common talking points on the show, which is like a really easy way to show the audience, to help the audience connect with how a person's situation is growing and changing, how their arc path is growing and changing, how the relationships are growing and changing, is to use repetition. And we see the same thing, and then we see the same thing again, and how it's either going better or worse in that situation shows us, you know, seeing the same thing again is how we're able to easily track the progression or the regression, depending on what kind of movie it is. So this movie has so many uses of it. And also, Jamie, the before and after snapshot, I like how you articulate this part of the craft. Do you want to set that up too?
Before and after meaning
Just before and after snapshot in general.
Yeah, I mean, normally when I articulate it, it's more like for the opening image and closing image. But it can happen in many different places. But essentially, it's kind of, there's usually an echo of something, and it could be metaphoric, it could be visual. But you see the change by showing the before and the after image of the character or something like that. And again, it's usually an opening image, closing image, but it can happen elsewhere in the story.
But that opening and I love that's exactly what I was hoping for. So the opening and closing image also works for side characters and relationships and subplots. That strategy for the major opening and closing image of the story can be used. That technique can be used to add like emotional resonance to just everything in the movie. So I wanted to give some simple examples of this movie. Andy, my favorite one, I'll start with that, is when Andy enters the prison, he gets stripped naked, hosed down, and dehumanized. When Andy escapes the prison, he strips down, and the rain washes away everything, and he's reborn. It couldn't be as simple as that, right? Red, the Red's first parole hearing versus his final, we see the stamp rejected, we see the stamp approved. One quick image and it's everything, right? The library, when we first enter the library, it's a cardboard box with some books and some shabby bookcases falling down. The last time we're in the library, it's a magnificent place full of life and hope, and it literally says Brooks Hatland Memorial Library, carved his name like beautifully by the prisoners. It's so beautiful. Haywood, when we meet Haywood, like Haywood's also one of my favorite before and after snapshots.
William Sadler.
When we meet oh my God, William Sadler. I have a great, I can't tell my William. I'll save my William Sadler story for when we do Demon Knight.
I've met him.
We will do.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's awesome. I haven't met him, but anyway, I do have a story with him. Anyway, Haywood, when we meet him, Andy asks the prisoner about the prisoner who died and said, "What's his name?" And Haywood gives Andy shit, like, and says, like, who fucking cares what his name is, right? He's dead, and nobody's name means anything around here. The last shot of Haywood is him lovingly telling a story about his friend Andy and using him by name. So that's like what I mean by the perfect. It doesn't have to be just the whole movie. It can be for individual characters' journeys. And then like some of my favorite scenario repetitions are, you know, the parole hearings, we get a perfect rule of three. The fresh fish arrivals, right? They're used to show how things are changing. All Andy and Red on the yard scenes feel like a repetition. Like if I was writing the movie, I would write those as their own script. You know, Andy and Red scene 1, Andy and Red scene 2. The mail with him writing for the library funds repetition, that's not just a montage. It kind of carries over throughout the movie. The cell count roll call where they're coming in, that whole repetition is used to build to the end, right? Without that repetition, that last scene in the cell doesn't hold the weight that it did if we didn't have that first scene.
We need to know how it works. Yeah.
Yes. So they use that to show, and the same thing, the dialogue. There's lots of dialogue repetition. Oh, and I forgot, even the loading the revolver, right? When we have 2 loading the revolver scenes. We have Andy drunk in the car fumbling, and then we have the warden opening his drawer and fumbling with the same looking revolver and bullets. So that's a great repetition to show how things are changing, right?
20 years apart, Andy caused both of them.
Yep. Perfect. And then some of my favorite dialogue, there's dialogue repetition, right? The same thing goes. You repeat a piece of dialogue throughout the story to show how things are changing. So salvation lies within, right?
Yeah.
The warden handing him the Bible, and then later him writing that note to the warden in the Bible he used to hide the pick, the hammer. Only guilty man in Shawshank. We talked about that before, and I didn't do it. The lawyer fucked me. Yeah. A man who knows how to get things, that keeps coming back over and over, especially in the end where he's like, when I say Wataneo, I could use a man who knows how to get things. Get busy living or get busy dying. Hope itself is just a running word that's in the character's
the last word
names.
spoken in the movie, actually.
Yeah. First as a warning, then as a reward. Yep. So anyway, I think that this is, of course, a perfect example of studying. If you want to know how repetition works and how to wield it, this is a great movie to study for that, for sure.
And none of it is like cringy or anything.
No,
it doesn't feel, none of it feels forced as repetition.
No,
it feels
it's
like
organic.
very organic and natural.
Yeah.
Formidable obstacles make them suffer. I mean,
yeah.
So
the reason I brought this up is not just because of what this movie does, it's because of what scripts do. And Jamie, I don't know if you get a lot of this because it's often me complaining about this. But so for anyone who has not heard the previous 149 episodes, I read amateur scripts all day, every day. And one of the top problems that I deal with is I get a script and everything's just too easy. And I'm talking about stories that are supposed to be dramatic and supposed to be like torturous for the character I'm reading. It's just every situation is achieved without having to endure much at all. And I go from fade in to fade out, and the character gets to the end and achieves the goal, and it just feels so it's not compelling because the journey was so easy for the character to achieve. Because Bob, what I get is a lot of writers who don't understand this part of the craft. Like they're isn't
it odd though? That
it is odd.
It seems like the very base minimum thing, even below setups and payoffs, that you should understand is like you have to have characters go through obstacles to achieve a goal. If you just did that, that's better than like a lot of stuff. You know what I mean? It's just just that is get
Jamie,
that rock. And
recently you said I've been quoting this one not just on the show but outside of the show, the all is lost parking ticket. That is so good.
Yeah. It is weird how honestly one of the easiest things you can do, and every writing guru in the world says it. Like I mentioned, Aaron Sorkin's masterclass is 90%. He just says, make the obstacles harder, then make them even harder. Nobody ever complained about a movie and said the obstacles were too hard. They just never said it. And it's like right now, if you just go look at your script and make all the things harder for your hero, you probably make your script like 10% better.
Even if it's Sam Raimi stuff, if it's just them getting punched around and shit. You know what I mean?
And we've talked about before, it's got to be tonally balanced. You can't just have like an anvil fall from the sky and crush the person's car.
I'd love
that. But in this case, the movie's supposed to be as dark as it is, and these things. So I just kind of wanted to, my favorite version of this is the John Wick episode. We went down a list of all the bad things that happened to John Wick in the story, and then it really answered. And the Spider-Man, I think it's No Way Home. We also go through a list of how many things Peter suffers through the story, and
Right.
it really tells you, it makes you understand why it feels like such an arduous journey. So I'll just go through Andy's setbacks real quick, like a Micro Machines reader. Andy's setbacks in sequential order. When we meet him, well, we don't know this at the time, but he's wrongfully convicted at trial, and we do know that he gets 2 consecutive life sentences.
You could even
Right
start
when we
before
meet
there,
him.
Jimmy. You could say his wife is cheating on him.
That's true. Right.
That's
before
number
that. Yep.
one.
So that's
His
number
wife is
one,
cheating on
right?
him.
His wife. I didn't even put that on there. Yeah. So
That's
you just
that's
added
number one.
more to this long list.
Yeah, I
I'm
know.
gonna read. He gets his first night in Shawshank. They strip him down and throw the delousing and dehumanize him, and he has to walk naked to the cell. The sisters, group of thugs, rape him. He gets a month in infirmary because he's injured so bad from the sisters. He discovers the warden's corruption, but he can't do anything about it. Then he has to become the criminal for the warden. Then he finds out that somebody can testify that they know who killed his wife and the golfer, and he can get a new trial and maybe be free. And then he tells Norton, and Norton refuses, and says like, "What the fuck? Like, what's your problem?" And just completely
You're being so obtuse.
being so obtuse.
Yeah.
Then Norton kills Tommy, the one guy who could get him free. Then
2 months in the hole. Right?
Norton gives him 2 months in the hole for trying to get an honest way out. Then after 2 months, when he gets out, Norton says, "If you ever try anything like this again, I'll take away the library. I'll take away your protection. I'll take away everything you've ever worked for since you've been in this prison. And I'll send you down to the sodomites." Then, so just every single one of those
you
things.
actually forgot one that most people forget.
What's that?
And is that he had to grieve the death of his wife.
Oh man, yeah.
A lot of
so
people
he's grieving the whole time.
I feel like that's
Yeah.
never mentioned when this movie's discussed, but his wife was cheating on him, but he didn't kill her, and he had to grieve her being brutally murdered.
Yeah, holy
It's
shit.
that's another thing at the beginning. The beginning is very dense, but it's so well,
you feel all of that, what you're saying.
but you almost don't register it unless you critically think about
it's because we never get to hear him talk about it. Like I said, he's a mystery.
He kind of does when he has that conversation with Red that makes Red think that he's going to kill himself.
That's so far into the movie, though.
It's so far, but he does say something about his wife.
Yeah,
and that's it's
he
proving
says, "I
that
didn't kill my wife." Yeah, yeah.
He was grieving his wife's death, regardless if she was cheating on him.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah,
that's another thing on the pile of shit that you just said.
And I almost did, guys. Because I've thought about doing this in the past. I think the good news, bad news technique works for plotting too. I think it works for outlining, which we don't talk about on the show. And I bet you, if we wrote a good news, bad news from the positive things that Andy gets, there'd immediately be a bad news for everyone. Like, he gets money for the library, this bad thing happens. He gets this bad thing happens.
Just for the whole movie?
Yeah, for the whole movie. I bet you there's a good news, bad news for Andy.
Yeah.
I thought about doing that and making Bob read it.
That'd be the whole movie, though. It's like that's not just like the fucking a scene. Him breaking out of prison wouldn't have a good news, bad news, because it's all good news.
It's all good news, yeah.
Except for the poop.
Well, that's that's before he gets out, though. The poop is kind of still in the prison, technically.
Yeah, it's bad news, though.
It's the worst news.
It's the worst, yeah. It was actually chocolate sauce. So
good.
I'm sure
that's good to hear.
Awful. That's still awful. Think about. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Anyway, so make them suffer. Make your characters suffer in a tonally balanced way. Like, does your script have this many setbacks for your character? Listen to all the things I listed in a premise specific way. Yep.
If you're writing a prison movie, it's kind of obvious the things that can happen.
Yeah.
You don't even have to be a genius.
Oh my God. If we did one for Steve Carell's character in 40-Year-Old Virgin, I bet you there'd be a long list of his own version of that's tonally balanced. Yeah. Which,
The abstract hope reward. Zaya
Yeah,
Wataneo.
this
Am I
is
saying that right? Zaya
yes,
Wataneo?
yeah, I don't know. It's
I hope
spelled
I am.
weird, but like, yeah. Jamie, I brought this up to pick your brain specifically about this because do you want to I think we need the setup for the photo finish in case some listeners aren't familiar with it. Do you want to set up what the photo finish is?
Yeah, sure. So there's a thing in Save the Cat called story DNA, and it's an easy way to describe this. So most stories have uh, a hero pursuing a goal. There's an obstacle in the way, and if they fail to achieve the goal, some horrible thing will happen. So I always use Raiders of the Lost Ark. Indiana Jones is trying to get the Lost Ark. Nazis are in the way. There's a mystery to finding it. And if he fails, the Nazis will use it to rule the world or something like that. So hero, goal, obstacle, stakes. Now, when you're coming up with your log line, this is the first thing you need to come up with. And the thing that needs to, if you've already written your script, this is the first thing you need to pull from your script and put in your log line: hero, goal, obstacle, stakes. But what happens with a lot of, especially new writers or sometimes writers that come from novels or something like that, the goal is more internal, or maybe it's more nebulous. Maybe it's like, their goal is to decide if they want to go to college or something like that. And while that is okay, it's hard to take a picture of that. Decision can almost happen at any given time, and it's very internal to someone. And that's even a little bit more concrete than a lot of them, which is like to get over their grief or something like that.
Yep.
So instead, what's better is something you can actually take a picture of, like getting the Ark of the Covenant. I can take a picture. Back to the Future, going home, I can take a picture of you arriving home. Wizard of Oz, I could take a picture of you arriving at home. Any kind of road trip movie, I can kind of take a picture of you hitting the finish line.
Vacation, Wally World.
Surviving the monster or killing the monster, I can take a picture of that usually. So that's what the photo finish usually is. And the way to get around the grief thing, it's not that the grief thing is bad. There are stories about people getting, having grief and getting over it. But for a movie, you usually take a goal. You'd say, what does the hero think is the one photo finish line goal that would make them get over, the death of a loved one or something.
The filmable action.
The filmable action that they think achieves the internal goal that you've come up with, essentially. That's usually what you're chasing. And that's the photo finish. And the grief thing is kind of, sometimes your want versus need. And sometimes the grief thing goes more to need than it is to want or something like that.
So there's lots of reasons I brought this up specifically for Jamie, which is you've talked about in your classroom with your students, how you ask them to write a picture of your character's goal.
Yeah,
even before the to draw like a picture. Draw a picture of their character's goal before like this during the workshopping, right? And
yep.
What do they typically do, Jamie?
Yeah, and it'll be like they'll totally lose this because they'll say the goal will be to be happy, and then they'll just draw a picture of them with a smiley face or something like that. So they've kind of like built a better mousetrap or kind of escaped my perfectly set up thing to try to get them to the right path. There's always a workaround that you can just draw a picture of somebody being like, to get over grief, they smile, or something like that.
Yeah. So this is very common when I'm reading script. It's a twofold thing. And then we'll weave it back into this, which is people misunderstand goal and reward. So they'll say, when it comes to photo finish, I'll say, like, let's say it's the Super Bowl, right? So I'll say, what's the character's goal? And they'll say to win the Super Bowl. And then you would ask, what's the photo finish? And it would be raising the trophy. But the trophy is the reward. The trophy is not the action taken. It's not the photo finish. The The photo finish is making the play, the throw or the run that scores the touchdown to win the Super Bowl, right? So those are two very different things, and a lot of people don't know how to write. They're missing the scoring touchdown and they skip to the Super Bowl trophy being raised, right? Then when it comes to mini plot, which we're going to get to later, which is what this movie is operating on a lot of, the goal in mini plot stories, what makes them different from a Hollywood cheeseburger, an arch plot, is the goal is often abstract. And so like the whole exercise of the movie is for the character to get over their great grief, right, Jamie? Like the abstract goal is kind of like fits the piece, and it's okay to not have the scoring touchdown, right? So I think what's cool about the execution of this one is it's secretly an arc plot Hollywood cheeseburger photo finish that's being described there. But we don't know that this is a prison break movie the first time we're seeing it, so it feels like an abstract reward. And just the act of what this movie does well is, even if it didn't have the prison break, life and hope has been so taken away from these characters when we get to this point in this movie that his visual description of it is so peaceful that we can see it. You know what I mean? Like at this point in the movie, when he's describing that beach, it's such a relief. You feel the sense of hope. And in your mind, you can picture it. You can see it. And all of a sudden you're like, oh man, wouldn't that be great? Right? I don't think it's hard for me to remember the first time I watched this. I was 14, but I don't think in my mind I was going like, he's going to break out of prison and he's going to get to that beach. In my mind, I'm going like, well, like that would be nice, wouldn't it? And you can just picture it. So giving hope an image to hold on to, a photo finish, I think is like part of the secret sauce of why this movie works, because you can picture it already. Yeah. But it's just interesting that what he's actually describing is like destroying the Death Star, right? So yeah, just was interesting.
So you're saying there's a version of the movie where like he doesn't escape, but we know that he has hope.
I'm
still,
saying
so
if it stays there,
if he stayed in prison, it would still work. If he stayed in
prison, it would still work. But it's like intentionally planted, obviously, as a setup that we don't know is a setup. You know?
Right.
Yeah, and this is almost like its structure is almost memoir, or it's episodic in some ways.
Yeah.
It's a collection of episodes over the course of many years that, if looked at, you can see the story over the collection of episodes, as opposed to like a direct through line of a story. You know, it's not like I need to escape and prove my wife was murdered or something. I don't know, but that would be the typical cheeseburger version. It's like, I must prove.
We don't know we're in that. That's what it is. We don't know that Andy's secret is that he does have an arc plot Hollywood cheeseburger plan.
But the weird thing about that is, like, I wouldn't use, like, I think this movie works fine in the episodic sense.
Me too.
But I think it works fine because you really can't get a story engine retroactively. You know what I mean? So just because that's there means almost nothing to the tension, the page turningness of the story, because we don't know that's what's going on.
Like your emotion is not retroactive. Yep.
Yeah, and similarly, a story engine can't be retroactive. Like if you showed a really boring movie, but then in the end said, but secretly, look, all these different things were happening, you wouldn't be like, oh, the movie's not boring anymore. It would be like, no, the movie's still boring. So it's more of a topper, you know what I mean? It's more like a bonus prize in the end. It's like,
well, it reminds me of what we've talked about a lot, which is there's two things happening on the page, which is the story that's actually happening to the characters, and then the way the audience is experiencing that story. And those are two different emotional experiences with different techniques and strategies, right? Like, so there's a completely different story happening that we're not experiencing linearly. Yeah.
Right. It almost reminds me of like a magic trick. You see these, especially on like America's Got Talent or something, or who's the guy, Oz, is that his name, Oz Perlman or something? I don't know.
Oh,
He's a
I don't
mentalist.
know.
He's
I
a
don't know who you're
mentalist,
talking about.
but he does these tricks, but there's always like a capper in the end. Like he does these tricks and you're amazed, like, think of your dog, and then you'll think of your dog's name and he'll know it, right? And that's amazing. But then in the end, he'll put like I ask Bob, I ask everybody in the audience's dog name, and then that spells out something else, and that's hiding in plain sight, and he reveals it. That's kind of the same structure that this movie is. It's like a complicated magic trick that has all these little tricks, but then there's a big capper in the end, and we hold it up.
It's so much that, it's hiding
so
in
much
plain
that.
sight, right behind the poster.
Yeah,
I like the idea that without the capper, it's still like at no point before then is it. It's awesome. It's still awesome.
It's
like
awesome.
The thing
I
always talk about with twist movies when people pitch them to me, and this movie essentially is a twist movie.
Yeah, we'll get there. We're almost there.
Is they have to 100% work without the twist.
Yep.
Because otherwise nobody will get to the twist. Nobody will care. They'll just be like, oh, okay, well that was cool, but I don't want to watch that again. I don't, or maybe they'll watch it again to figure out all the little secrets that add up. But yeah, it's not retroactive. It can't. If somebody's bored, they're bored. If somebody's not engaged, they're not engaged. If they're not feeling something, they're not feeling something. And the twist means nothing.
It's a twist in this movie that there's a twist.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that's there's more that you're giving me something else.
I think
the capper, I guess.
I think we might one day do Sixth Sense. Sixth Sense kind of operates like that to an extent.
Yeah, it works without the twist.
I'm not leaning forward, like trying to figure the movie out when I see it. Now, after that movie, every other M. Night movie, you leaned forward and tried to figure it out. You knew they were all magic tricks at that point. And then he stopped doing the magic trick, and then that was confusing. It was like,
where's the twist?
It was like, what? I've been trying to solve the puzzle the whole time, and there's no puzzle.
He made sure in The Sixth Sense to like, it's still a good story about like a broken, marriage.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like he made sure that worked outside of the big reveal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna save my thoughts on that when we get to the actual twist section, because I think there's more to talk about. Yeah.
Well, okay. Let's go to Hope is a Dangerous Thing. All is Lost.
Yeah, this is just a super quick thing I noticed with this, because I kind of preach this a lot, but this has an interesting moment. I find that the all is lost moment is usually that moment where everything goes to crap. Somebody usually dies, and people end up in solitary confinement for a couple months afterwards. So in this case, it's when Andy goes and he kind of says, "Hey, I'm innocent. We can clear this up." Blah blah blah. And the guy, the warden, basically, throws him in the hole, says to forget about it, kills Tommy. It's all kind of combined into the same all is lost moment. So, but the interesting thing that I always preach with these is right before the all is lost moment, hope is huge, and hope is a dangerous thing. We're about to find out, because then the all is lost moment happens. So right before this happens, we have Tommy on the upswing. We have we have, hey, I might be able to prove I'm innocent. Right before that, it's a huge upswing, almost like it can cure all our problems. Like everything's going good. The guys are friends. The library's there. There's all this
too much good news.
Too much good news. Hope
Also,
is a dangerous thing. Yeah.
Also, finding out that Andy's probably innocent is for the audience too. It's not just in the character.
Yeah.
It's us, right? We're like, we're on an upswing. We're like,
Jamie, you've noticed that this is common. This is part of the recipe.
This is a very common thing, to the point where we've talked about my B story beats. I always say we almost had it all moment.
We almost had it all.
It's because in romance, it's usually a thing where like they're right on the borderline of like, let's get married or something. And then it crashes. Then the secret comes out and they rip apart and stuff like that.
Then this is why we can't have nice things moment.
Yes.
Yeah. But I almost think this is an important subbeat. Like especially if you're doing Save the Cat, like I would almost pencil in the we almost had it all moment, or the hope is a dangerous thing moment. And really think
should be what you
I like we almost
Jamie.
had it all as far as the term.
Yeah. It's we almost had it all. Probably says the most, but hope is the dangerous thing. Is really what you're trying to make the audience feel to an extent.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah. So in this movie does it, and it's not a romance. So I thought I'd point it out.
Very good. The tragic mirror.
All right, I'm throwing one out there. I'm sure there's TV Tropes has a term for this, but we've talked a lot about the circus mirror, or in other words, the dark mirror of like, if a character makes all the wrong choices, they become the villain, right? Or in the case of the Matrix, if Neo makes all the wrong choices, he becomes Cypher, right? Having a character who, if you make the audience do the comparison game, it helps us understand like what's happening with the character and which direction they need to go, right? And we've never talked about this before, but I think another good version of that is the tragic mirror, right? Who's the worst case future self? Tragic. Who's the tragic character that's emblematic of your own character's flaws, and like using that character to create a worst case future outcome for another character. And I think Brooks, what makes Brooks so important, and this is the key change from the short story to the movie, to Frank Darabont's credit, and he said he did this intentionally to make it more tragic, which is, in the book, he just dies. Brooks gets sent to a retirement home and just like dies in a retirement home. He doesn't hang himself.
He doesn't kill himself.
Right. There's none of that stuff. And the choice to make it a tragic mirror for Red, I think, informs everything of that last 20 minutes. Like, without this, that last 20 minutes doesn't hold the weight that it does, right? Because by seeing Red walk in the same shoes identically, right? It's the same room, it's the same job, it's the same.
There's only one difference. There's one single difference, and Andy, yeah. Hope. Yeah, that's it. Really, it's just hope. I mean, Andy's the thing,
hope.
But it's really just hope.
Yep.
Brooks had none.
So I think this is a good example. There's the homeless man in Groundhog Day is a great example of the tragic mirror, right? Like he Phil sees himself becoming that man. So anyway, I think, and to an extent, the whole cast is a tragic mirror for Billy, and that's, you feel that tension, right? Like, Billy's young, there's still a chance to save him, right? There's still a chance for him to not be a lifelong prisoner, and everybody around him feels that, and then Andy's working to make sure that he doesn't fall into the same situation long term that they are, right, by helping him get the GED. So yeah.
I feel like we covered a little bit, but setups, payoffs, and twists.
Yeah,
hiding the twist.
Jamie's, and then I have something to yes and.
Jamie, your sound's off.
whenever anybody asks me about like what the difference between an amateur script and a pro script is, I've said this before, is I always feel setups and payoffs are the biggest difference that I see. It's just in the pro scripts, they have hundreds of setup and payoffs, like to the point where I've heard early in my career, I heard somebody say everything's a setup or a payoff, everything.
Right.
And the scripts I do 10 drafts of or something like that. Every time I go through, I find 5 or 6, setup and payoffs. So I'm adding, like, in every draft, it's like I'm stacking setups and payoffs to the point where it's 50, 60, 70, 80. It just keeps, and I keep taking things that don't have setup and payoffs and either finding a setup or replacing it with something that is set up. There's just all kinds of different things. And these could be dialogue. These could be props. These could be situational. They could be all kinds of things that happen. And this movie has a ton of them. I didn't list like all the ones this movie had. You could go nuts.
It would take you 2 hours, Jamie.
It would take you 2 hours. I mean, it even has like sillier ones, like in the end when they zoom in on the embroidery when the warden, when the cops are coming for the warden and stuff like that. They have little things like that. And then they have big ones, which is the ones I'm going to talk about now, the twists. And now we're going to talk about the twist. If you call this a twist ending or whatever, I just call it whether it's a twist ending or just a
Surprise?
massive payoff, like the magic trick in the end, where all these things pay off at once, almost in a Kaiser Sose sort of way.
Yep.
Another movie we were talking before this, like movies that I think are kind of fading like everybody saw
Kevin Spacey doesn't help.
Usual Suspect. He does not
He
help.
does not help.
And so I'm
not
not sure.
The director too.
Oh, Brian Singer.
That's
too.
true.
Oh my God.
It's pretty rough. Yeah.
Let it fade.
Chris McQuarrie is kind of pulling that thing through at this point. And,
that's true.
Yeah.
But in that movie, everything kind of came together at the end. And even that one was almost like a cheat in some ways. Like, I won't say what the ending of that one is. We'll save that because we'll never do it.
Because it's a dishonest protagonist. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just like the actor himself.
But in this one, like, there's so many things that pay off in the escape, right? There's like all the things that happen, the hammer, the Bible, the posters, all this thing, the plan, who's the guy that he sets up the name for himself?
Stevenson,
Russell
Stevenson.
Yes.
All these things pay off. Like this, everything was part of this big scheme or plan that ultimately.
It's almost like Andy himself is a good writer.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So all these little things, but so how do you do that is the thing. How do you do that? Is it just simply you write these things in? Here's the thing that I think this movie shows you how to do it if you're trying to write a twist. And this is something I always aspire to when I have a twist. And I think I say this in meetings a lot, and it kind of goes over people's heads, and it's not because it's complicated. It's because I'm not communicating it. But I have a good example now with this movie, I think, to communicate this thing. I think what you have to do is you have a setup, and the audience knows, because they've seen a lot of movies, that setups have payoffs, right? So you have to do a setup, payoff. You have to have a sub payoff that tricks the audience into thinking
that's
it,
right?
box.
Oh, that's all that was for.
That's all that was for. Oh,
yeah.
The chess pieces. I see what they're doing here. It's a ticking clock. They're showing time by showing chess pieces on the wall. Or those posters are kind of a ticking clock. They're using it for that reason.
They're using it to show us how long time has passed.
So if you're going to have a big twist that has a big payoff to something you planted early, you need to come up with one more payoff that tricks the audience, and it has to be a good one. It kind of has to be one of these non-retroactive kind of things where you have to give them a pretty good, clever payoff, and they mentally check the box. That was paid off. And that way they kind of forget about the rock hammer or something. They forget about that a little bit. And they kind of move on, and then you bring them all in the end, and you hit them again. And there's a second payoff to all these things you set up earlier. And I think that's the best way to pull off any kind of twist, whether it's like a betrayal or who the murderer is in your story or something like that. If you're going to have a setup payoff, make sure you pay off that thing in some other way, somewhere in the middle, to trick the audience. That's basically that was my big,
dude,
way
it's so good.
Yeah.
That's very actionable. Anybody out there can do that.
Yeah. And I've said that many times in a meeting and kind of fumbled over what I was saying, or people don't understand, or they think I'm overthinking it. I'm like, no, if that's going to be the bad guy, we have to, basically what I say is we have to trick the audience into thinking we're doing it for another reason. You know what I mean? Like whatever clue we're planning, we have to come up with a super clever thing, alternative.
It's like
universe.
You acknowledge their experienced viewership, but you don't give away everything.
And it's almost the thing I said before, like the movie has to work without the twist. You almost have to assume like this thing is never going to pay off in the twist. So
like
the
the
movie,
Say Wataneo, yeah.
Exactly. You have to pay it off. You have to pretend like the twist doesn't exist until it does. And then once the twist comes, that's fine. You can double up. But I think before that, you have to pretend like it doesn't.
You have Red and Andy both doubting the hammer could ever do it.
exactly. And then you show that.
And then you show that he actually did do it. That was actually the plan. It's like, yeah.
Like, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I wanted to comment on, I'll try to breeze through this without doing the whole shtick, but the audience contract, because like you just figured out a cheat code, Jamie, for setups and payoffs. I think this movie finally helped me like wrap my head around when audience contract violations work for the long period, which is, you know, so to explain the audience contract, you have a character that you're following along, and when your character learns something, the audience learns it either that scene, the next scene, or very soon. So we're not spending a long time emotionally disconnected from our character, right? And the reason that I bring this up is because I read scripts all the time where I use the guy training for the Olympics example, where it's like the guy was like lifting weights and like doing all this like strict on his diet and having a lot of drama about his personal health. And in the last scene, it turns out he's an Olympian and he's been training for the Olympics the whole time. And the writer, I feel like such an asshole laughing about this because maybe they're listening, but like the writer was like, I don't like I was like, why did you not want to inform us that he like let us in on that? And he was like, well, I wanted it to be a twist. And it's like, that's not a twist. That's a lie.
It's just new information.
That's a violation of the audience contract, because the whole time your main character knew he was training for the Olympics. And we should too, in a standard Hollywood cheeseburger, right? And this is number one, a mini plot. But number two, so the example I like to use of how that would work in a good movie is like in The Matrix, Trinity is taken into the room and told something by the Oracle. And it was just Neo looking at a closed door. And we don't see or hear what she's told. So it's a secret. That works because she's the supporting character. She's not the main character. And I read scripts all the time where it's Neo going into the room and the script literally just describes a closed door, right? Like on the page, it just says the door closes for, 30 seconds of tension. And so we don't know what the main character
we're following, learned. We stop following.
Yeah, we stop following. Reason. So that's the audience contract violation. Right. But we've talked about on this show, we've learned that you can do it once, just like the one coincidence rule, right? Like in Godzilla they don't tell us that there was a parachute. And we've learned that if it's a major meaningful moment, the audience will forgive one of these contract violations, right? But what they don't forgive is a story-long disconnection. Now, I think the answer is, because I can't remember, we've done a couple of episodes where the nature of the character is a mystery. And then there's also an audience contract violation. We don't know what's that. So I think the cheat code is, if you want to do a story where we're not fully aligned with what the character's doing, what their agenda is, it's got to be a story where the nature of the main character or the nature of the dual protagonist is a mystery to be solved. And then by the whole exercise of tension is the audience trying to figure out what their whole agenda is, right? And that's the case of this. Is he going to kill himself? Anyway.
Right. And this goes back to the thing we talked about earlier, like who the protagonist is and stuff. I think the way this story is built is we are meant to feel what Morgan Freeman feels when the coolest person in the world shows up. And even though the coolest person in the world is the one actively doing things, and that's Andy, we're not meant to feel Andy's feelings as much as we're meant to feel. We're not
connected with him in that way.
That's right. We're meant to feel Morgan Freeman's. So if Morgan Freeman was telling us a lie, it would probably violate that contract more than if Andy did.
But he's not in the know of everything Andy does or thinks. So
that's right.
So that's why it works that we never knew.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that's part of the plain spun narrator thing as well, I think.
Yes.
And it's even cooler in this specific case because it's like, here's the one thing Andy didn't tell his best friend. for a good
Yeah.
reason. You know,
Right,
like
right.
Yeah.
the
You don't want to
only
get him in
thing-
trouble.
Right. He didn't want him to be implicated in that.
Yeah, so
So-
we experienced the amazing surprise that Morgan Freeman's character experienced, along with Morgan Freeman in some ways.
Yeah, Morgan Freeman never lied to us.
He's one of the three people staring down the hole in that epic shot
Yep.
for a reason.
For a reason.
Yeah.
Yep.
Did you have more to say on mini plot versus arc?
Yes. This
Okay.
this is my main takeaway from this movie that I want to
Okay.
talk about, the mini plot. Jamie, 150 episodes. I'm making you do this again. Can you explain what mini plot is?
Yeah. So this comes from Robert McGee, who wrote the book Story. Big thick book, hard to read in some ways, but very good read.
I've
It's
been to a seminar.
a good one to keep by your bed and pick away at for 10, 20 years. But this is one of my favorite things about it. I use this all the time in teaching. He has this triangle, and he says there's 3 types of stories, and he's talking about structure, 3 types of structures essentially. And the first one is arch plot, and that's we always call it the cheeseburger. We should come up with like cheeseburger, sushi, and what would surreal? What would the surreal one be? I don't know. What it would be.
Deconstructed.
Yeah, be like, I don't know. I'll have to think about that. The top of the pyramid is the arch plot, and it's most movies are arch plot. They're most like Pixar movies, Marvel movies. They're
Closed
movies,
loops.
closed loops. A hero has a goal with obstacles. It's very external. They're not internal. All the things we talked about earlier, and there's a lot of causality. This happens, and therefore this happens. Therefore this happens. Everything's kind of tidied up in a a beginning, middle, end sort of way. You feel some kind of catharticness to the ending. It closes things down. It doesn't leave open endings. Mini plot, on the other hand, is kind of taking pieces of that, but then not caring about certain pieces, and it kind of picks and chooses. Some movies do have strong goals, but they might do something else. Like it might be very internal. Like they might have a structure, but it might be very internal to the plot. But oftentimes they're internal. Oftentimes they're episodic, so they don't have cause effect. Sometimes they feel day in the life kind of storytelling, and again, and sometimes they have multiple characters, so they don't play by the rules like your ordinary cheeseburger movie does. And then last but not least, you have anti-plot, which we don't really talk about too much. I think we've come up in our 150 episodes, maybe one episode talked about anti-plot, really.
Yeah.
And even that one, we kind of were like on the fence.
We figured out that it had pillar beats that are arch plot.
Yep. And that was the Mulholland Drive episode.
Mulholland Drive. Yep.
So they're usually more surreal, more they break with logic. They don't have cause effect. They're kind of vibe movies. Anything can kind of happen. There's no internal logic. There's no time logic. They can jump around. Strangely enough, if you read Robert McGee, and I'm sure he has his reasons, he puts like Wayne's World in that category, and I don't really buy it. Yeah, I don't.
No, Wayne's World has a plot.
Yeah.
He thinks because anything
a villain
can
and
happen,
a plot.
because they can go like or something.
But he's thinking of the comedy versus the actual plot.
I 100% agree. I think that movie totally functions as a arch plot kind of movie. But again, I might be hijacking his model for my own purposes in this direction. But who knows? Maybe he'd yell at me and throw something at me if I said that in his. Like I'd say, I don't think Wayne's World an arch plot. He might say, get out of here, and throw something at me and stuff. He's kind of grumpy and yells at people.
He is very grumpy.
Isn't he the guy that was depicted in
Adaptation?
Yes.
He's not that much of an asshole, but in my experience, he was very had very.
But there's a reason
opinions.
for how he was depicted, right?
Yes.
I have, and I don't think this is talking out of school. I'll just say this super quick. But I have a friend of mine, one of the Save the Cat people. There's really 2 Save the Cat people that run Save the Cat at this point. He went to a Robert McGee seminar, And he went up to him in the end and he said, "Hey, I'm, he's so-and-so and I'm from Save the Cat." And he like yelled at him and said, he like said, "That hack stole everything from me and this and that." And he like kind of like really screamed at him. And I said, "That's like the best. I only wish if I knew that would happen, I would 100% go to a Robert McGee thing and say that, because there's nothing better than getting yelled at by Robert McGee. And
you gotta wear like you gotta
you don't
record
find
it.
that stuff in life.
Yeah,
You gotta record that, Jamie. If you going to Robert McGee and
I would
telling him
who
he probably hates you because you wrote 3 freaking books.
Like that would be a dream of mine, is to go there and have him yell at me. Like,
Jamie's dream.
To put a
that's a photo finish.
No, I would tell that story for the rest of my life about Robert McGee yelling at me. But the put a happy ending on it. I think then at lunch he kind of came over to him and acted like it didn't even happen and asked him questions or something like that. But,
that's good.
That's his Robert McGee story.
He was super respectful to all the people asking questions in my class.
Yeah, he said he was really nice after he first yelled at him, and then he came up to him later.
A bombastic speaker for sure.
Right.
Well, there's two things that I wanted to bring up that you talk about. My 2 favorite things that you do when teaching this, Jamie, is you say that you ask your students to like pick one place on the triangle, right? Up front.
You know why I really use this to my class is because if, let's say you're teaching Save the Cat, everybody's going to raise their hand and go, what about Pulp Fiction? And I just say, that's mini plot. Moving on.
Yeah.
And it's just an easy way for me to kind of dismiss like all the, hey, what about Magnolia or something? And I'm like, I don't care. Let's move on.
Well, for me, why it's become a useful tool is it helps me diagnose, like, a lot of the people that I'm work with, the writers, they don't understand that they're trying to write a mini plot movie, and they try to shoehorn their mini plot experience that they have in their head that they haven't figured out how to execute into a Save the Cat, which you can do mini plots and Save the Cat, but they try to make it operate like a 3-act structure Hollywood cheeseburger, and then it takes someone reading it and being like, this isn't working because like you're treating it like it's something different. So identifying that like you want to make a vibes movie, anti-plot movie up front is very important, and very useful. And I feel like this is a useful tool to it's like right up there with the story DNA, Jamie. Like you figure out like, okay, what type of experience am I doing? Just like the genre pattern. Is it institutionalized? Okay, that can inform me of how to do this right and how to subvert the institutionalized patterns, just like the same thing with figuring out, am I doing a mini plot? Am I doing a Hollywood cheeseburger, or is it all vibes? And that's okay, so, but a lot of people don't understand that they're trying to do one thing and they're actually
it's the intentionality that's important. And
yes,
what I've found with new writers though is most of them do mini plot by accident. They just
exactly
they haven't figured out like how a real story works, and
they don't understand structure.
The Aristotelian storytelling, they haven't done enough. So I'm almost like I kind of say this to a lot of clients that do this, and they agree for the most part. They don't dismiss the fact that I'm almost like, why don't you try to do an arch plot first? Just learn that first, because unless you really are just writing your memoir or something like that, it just doesn't make sense. But I'm always kind of encouraging people to try the arch plot first, and then later on, after they kind of master that, then experiment with structures, just so they're doing it with pure intention and not completely accidental and just kind of failing to understand what makes people turn the page and tension and all those things. Because we
sort of talked about that on the Mulholland Drive episode, because
we
talking
did
about how David Lynch can actually make arch plot movies.
And what we figured out is that with all its weirdness, it had 6 pillar beats. It had the opening and closing. It had the end of Act 1. It had a midpoint that functioned just like any Hollywood cheeseburger. It had an end of Act 2 that functioned. It had 6 pillar beats that were
It's not
executed
just-
exactly like all the standard movies.
It's not just gobbledygook nonsense. Is the point.
Which tethered the weirdness in place and made it palatable for the average viewer.
By the way, let me give a quick plug to a book I never plug, but it's actually I remember I read it and it's a pretty well written book. But Save the Cat Goes to the Indies is actually it's like this unknown book. It's probably the least sold Save the Cat book, but it actually has like it breaks down all these different movies like Amelie and stuff like that. And it does a good job trying to figure out if you want to think in Save the Cat kind of terms, but do like it actually, here's the thing about indie movies. Some of them are arch plot, like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Being John Malkovich, for all I know, might be arch plot. I don't know. It could be. It doesn't feel like it, on the surface, but it could be.
It's so weird, but I think you're right. I
bet you're right. So the other thing that, Jamie, that I love that you teach about this is you say the core difference between the viewer experience of a mini plot structured movie and the viewer experience of an arch plot Hollywood movie is the ending. In a mini plot movie, the ending is the way that life is. It's honest, it's authentic. Things don't get wrapped up the way that they typically do. And in an arch plot movie, things end the way we wish they were.
Right.
So
Hollywood
ending.
Yeah.
So the reason I brought this up is because I think this is a mini plot movie with an arch plot ending.
I think that's what separates. Inarguable almost.
I think that's what separates. In fact, what was cool, I was already on my list, and I watched this with Jill, my wife, who's not as familiar with it as me. She actually said, and I've heard this before, she actually said to me, she said, do you think that Red is imagining him getting out of jail and that beach part is all in his mind? Because I think she's speaking to what I just said, which is like, it's so different than a mini plot. It's felt so much like a mini plot movie. And
you guys know about the ending, right? Do you know how original ending was just Red on the bus?
Oh,
and then it just faded away. And then the studio was like, you could add them having a reunion. And Frank Darabont was like, no, it's going to be cringy and cheesy. And so he made a compromise where they filmed that. They actually had dialogue on the beach. And he ended up filming it. He cut all the dialogue. So it's just them walking up to each other and then a wide shot.
It's all you need.
But that wasn't there. That's
so interesting.
And it originally ended on Red just having the hope enough to get on that bus. And that's the end of the movie.
It feels like a movie that should end with the bus in some ways to me. I mean, I love that they put the end in, and I get why they did. But it does feel like the music and everything, it feels like this is the end. It's just going to end. Yeah. And it's going to leave us to figure out what happened next. It is, that does not surprise me at all, because that's the way the movie feels.
I think adding the ending, though, makes it that much more of a classic.
It's the photo finish, dude. It's the photo finish. It gives us the photo finish.
Yeah.
That a mini plot movie wouldn't give.
Right.
And I think that's what's so cool about it. Once the twist is revealed, there's story DNA, right? Like, we get the problem is solved, the villain is overcome, they get to the beach, like, it becomes,
they're free.
It's like any Hollywood cheeseburger once the twist is revealed, right? There and emotion is not retroactive, but they give us the Hollywood ending. It's interesting to hear that Hollywood demanded that ending.
Well, from what way Darabont tells it, it's not like they said that he didn't have to do it at all, but they said, "Look, you have these people for over 2 hours. Can they just have the reunion on the beach?" And he admits that they were like half right.
So
that's why.
So as much as the movie, operates like a mini plot, the way life is, we still get the way we wish life would be.
Right. We're essentially seeing the two of them in their we're seeing Andy in his almost like heaven. It's like, you know what I mean? Like, it's his paradise.
And the Pacific Ocean as blue and as wide as it possibly could be.
Yeah.
There's a payoff there. There's a lot of different stuff going on.
But like, we didn't know that it was headed there first watch, And I think that's brilliant. What it taught me was it's cool that Mulholland Drive came up so much because I wasn't planning on referencing that. But like Mulholland Drive, you can do a mini plot movie where you're hiding the cheeseburger, right?
Right.
And
right.
if the cheeseburger's been in there all along,
Yeah.
and it'll work really well.
Yep.
Because I don't think a lot of people writing those types of movies are operating that way, thinking that way.
Knowing what you know, like what I just said, you could basically just write your mini plot movie and then add the arch plot.
Add the arch plot in there.
Yeah. At the end, the guy doesn't just imagine it; you actually see it happen. There you go.
Yeah.
You know,
And it would work.
Yeah.
So anyway,
this is a random thing based on this, but I'm more and more leaning towards, if you're writing a mini plot movie, to use the sequence method.
Yep.
I feel like.
Do you want to explain that for potential listeners who have not heard 149 episodes?
So the sequence method, purely in a very simple way, the sequence method is dividing your movie into 8 mini movies. That's basically what the sequence method is. So you just,
and there's a great book by Paul Joseph Galino, by the way, about that.
And I just feel like if you do that, you will have some sort of momentum that isn't there if you don't do it. It'll allow you to, it'll kind of free your mind from the Save the Cat world and the 3-act structure world, but allow you to instead do these kind of 8 mini movie episodic kind of things, and that all build upon each other and ultimately land somewhere, as opposed to worrying about, like, how do I do a break into 2 if my hero doesn't have a goal, or something, whatever that nonsense that you might get stuck with. If you really intentionally have decided the mini plot is the structure for you, I think the sequence method isn't a bad choice.
Personally, for me, Jamie, my process, all writing, I use the sequence method for all my writing. I'm not a pantser.
Yeah.
So I break it down into chunks like that.
I've done it on occasion. I would say the vast majority of me doesn't do it anymore, but I've mixed and matched. There have been occasions where I do it. I can think of a project right now that I probably should do it for. Yeah.
Where it's worked for me really well is in collaboration. So I am assigned one sequence, then the next person is working on the other sequence, and then we trade. I rewrite his sequence, he rewrites my sequence, and so on and so forth. So we're only writing half a movie, but so
one other thing completely before we get to the next part is, and this goes back,
we're doing it.
I forgot to say, I was saying that the movie has to work without the twist, like it has to be. I knew the twist going into this movie. I read this short story. The only thing I remembered was the poster and the hole, and that's it. Like, I thought that was the only thing in the short story worth reading. And this movie still worked for me. So even knowing that he tunnels out in the end and hides the hole with the poster. Yeah.
It still works on rewatches.
Yep.
We know everything. People don't rewatch this constantly because it sucks,
Yeah. I do.
Well, yeah, Jamie does. Yeah. Did you guys, we were doing the speed round pop quiz?
Let's do it.
Okay. This is the speed round now.
Okay, do I have to buzz in?
Remember that.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's no buzzing, but
should I read it or do you want to read it? What should we do?
So I thought I thought this was your
I
thing.
want to read it.
Yeah, you do it. You do it.
Yeah.
Explain what this is.
Okay, so in when we were talking about what we were gonna talk about on the show, I personally was very intimidated by covering this movie because I feel like every single technique we've ever talked about in the history of the show could come up, and that this movie is either using it or subverting it, And so I thought maybe it would be fun at the end of our 150th episode if we just did a greatest hits of techniques and did a speed round, and you either say that it's using it or it's subverting it. And if you want to say more, that's fine, but we got to do it fast. So I'll read them, and then, Okay. You want to try it?
Yeah.
Are you answering too? Are we all three answering?
I can answer after you answer. I'll let you guys two answer, and then I'll say mine. Okay, let me pull up this PDF.
It's a list, just so everybody knows, of 20 things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Ready?
Yeah.
Rooting resume.
Oh, for sure. It's using it.
Uses
yeah.
it.
Uses it. Yep.
Yeah.
Story DNA. Hero goal stakes reward deadline.
Not really. I don't think it does that.
This needs
as
a
well.
deadline.
I think it's concealing it until Act 3.
Subverts it? So subverts it?
But it
subverts it. Yeah.
But again, I don't think that works. I don't think that works as an engine. Yeah.
Because the motion is not
Jamie,
retroactive,
we're only
right,
supposed
Jamie?
to say two
Yes,
things.
yes. Well, yeah, it's just that's
kidding,
that's
I'm
why
kidding.
that's why I say no, though. I don't think it does.
So subverts it?
Okay, 3. Subverts it.
Subverts
Yep.
it. Yep.
Welcome to the Upside Down world.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it
Yep.
does. Mhm.
Yeah.
Uses it. Handshakes.
Remind me of
I don't
handshakes.
even remember what that
They're
yeah.
relationship bonding things that
Yes,
get repeated.
Uses it.
Yeah, for sure.
Uses it.
Uses it. Okay. Wrong way goals.
I don't think it really does it?
I think it uses it. I think they want to give up hope.
See, I think the arc of Awesome, like I'm thinking of him as the protagonist, and I think
same. That's why.
What that points out to me is an arc of Awesome. They probably don't do wrong way goals. They do the right way, but get beaten down for it. You know.
So
no, you could say
Red has the wrong way goal, and
Red has
Andy
the wrong
doesn't.
way. Yeah, exactly.
Okay, cool.
Exactly. Yeah.
So subverts it then?
Subverts it and uses it. Yeah, it's iffy.
Yeah.
The 5-point finale.
Does it? I'm trying to think of the points because here's the thing: we kind of learn the plan in retrospect. So does it have gather the team? Does it have a? It doesn't really.
We do see those things.
Does it have a Hightower surprise? You know, is there?
There's no Hightower surprise.
Yeah,
so in that way, no.
His plan just kind of works.
It's the Hightower surprise is the poop.
Yeah.
So subverts it. Not really subverts it. It loses it.
Yeah.
The poop is the Hightower
poop
surprise.
is the poop.
The shit. Actually, maybe so. Maybe that's it. The
I'm
Hightower
saying it's
surprise
not
is the river of
completely
shit.
insane to say that.
Well, here's the weird thing. Like to really think about this, Red might have the finale. It might be like when he's released from prison, going to get the rock. Really commits suicide. He does the thing he wouldn't have done in the beginning, which isn't commit suicide. He goes and has hope and blah blah blah.
Is the rock actually being there the Hightower surprise? I don't know.
I think maybe him not killing himself and going to chase it is the Hightower.
Is the Hightower surprise because he's got to dig down deep.
He's got to dig down deep, and instead of living the life as a grocery bagger or killing himself, he instead has hope and goes.
He chooses hope.
Yes.
Yes.
I think it is.
Yes. That's good. There we go. All right.
There you go.
Opening and closing image.
Uses it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
totally.
for sure.
I mean, we already talked about it, so yeah.
Yeah. Why here? Why now?
Why here? Why now? I'm not sure about this one. Is this a stakes question?
Why?
Or
I mean, why does the story have to happen here?
Because his wife got murdered, so it has to
now. Yes.
Uses it.
Okay.
I unintentionally confused Jamie.
Yeah, I just there's different ways I think of that.
I just want to say, when Jamie doubts it, I'm doubting myself because I'm like, well, if Jamie doubts it, I must not understand this.
Well, it's all semantics.
Yeah.
Number 9, the lock-in moment.
See, because I'm saying it doesn't really have story DNA, I'm going to say subverts it.
I agree.
Yeah,
I agree. Hey, Bob?
Yeah, no,
Okay,
I would say subverts. It's also because of the way that the whole Red being the narrator thing.
Yep.
And how we don't know exactly when Andy's locking in.
Yes. Co-signed.
Yeah.
Number 10, ticking clocks.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. Though the question is, what happens when the clock runs out? Nothing. It's just another day. But it has clocks to measure spans of time.
It does. But I think
in the mini plots.
They're not stakes kind of clocks, though.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And it uses what we've talked about in the past in the show. We talked about it in Clerks, of all things, which is the prison clock. When they are feeling imprisoned and trying to get out, every second feels like eternity.
Right.
There's ever-present urgent. Yeah. Well, it's kind of using. Yeah. I guess. Yeah. I guess I did just describe a subversive.
It sounds like it's
sorry.
You know what I mean, though? It means like it almost sounds like it's using it
in the opposite way or something.
Yeah, that's
I think you're saying like it's sidestepping it, but it's like actually.
Number 11,
Doesn't matter.
MacGuffins.
MacGuffins. No MacGuffins.
Okay.
I don't think there's anything anybody's chasing, right?
They're not chasing an object.
There's no object, no. Unless you count the hammer or something. But no.
Confessional scenes.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And go to the classroom scene.
I wouldn't be surprised, but I don't remember. Like, is there any?
You think the scene's in the cafeteria?
I think it's when he's sitting and telling him, like, hope is a good thing, maybe the best of things, and that's like on the yard.
I was like, does he say anything to Tommy that's thematic or anything?
No, you know what, Bob? It's a two-factor. Your cafeteria scene is right. What you just
the hope
said,
thing, right?
Because that's where he's first saying about the music. Don't you feel that way about things, about music, about movies? You can't let them take that away from you. That's absolutely. Go to the classroom.
That's how Andy's getting through this whole ordeal.
Yes.
They can't take it away from him.
Yeah.
So
superior position.
It wields it.
Yep. Sure. Yep. Window characters.
I think Andy's a window character to an extent at one point.
I think that Red is both a window character and the protagonist. So that's like subversive.
Yeah.
Action figure exercise.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think
they all have accessories.
Yeah, I was going to say.
They all have pull string lines. They all have memorable appearances, and memorable
I feel like people could do Shawshank cosplay and it would all be recognizable.
Yeah, or Shawshank Halloween costume, like Jamie says.
Right.
Can you make a Halloween costume out of the character? Absolutely.
If you had the captain in there, like Clancy Brown's character, it would definitely sell it the most.
Yeah, you'd know.
Like if you had that uniform, you'd know.
But I feel like William Sadler, he'd have like, suspenders and that hat.
Yeah, the bowler hat or whatever. Right. Yeah.
And you'd give Morgan Freeman a pack of cigarettes and a harmonica.
You could have the bird.
Andy would have the hammer.
Yeah,
and a
Brooks
Bible.
would have the bird and a library book. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So all of them. Yeah. Okay, touchstones and twitches.
I think so.
Yeah,
definitely. Untrustworthy allies.
I mean, at moments, the warden before he totally goes berserk, I would say almost.
Yeah,
he functions like an untrustworthy ally. Like maybe all the good that Andy has done.
Yeah, we're friends now.
In fact, to speak to the adaptation thing, that's another thing that he changed from the story, which is Billy doesn't get killed in the story; he just gets transferred. and Frank Darabont said he made that choice to prove to the audience that Norton was never going to help Andy. So there you go.
Right.
So. All right. Two more comic obsessions.
Hank Williams.
Right?
That counts.
I think, and I think Haywood with Hank Williams, but I also think maybe it subverts it because like people have human obsessions, because it's so dramatic, they just are like obsessing over like very basic things, right? Like a beer with friends, just any music, a movie, say Wataneo.
Almost you could just say they're obsessed with the outside, with freedom.
Yes, with freedom.
It's like that's the obsession.
Yeah. So they are there for sure.
Simple things in life.
But the Hank Williams is the one that definitely tracks as our standard. Last one, praise of the killer speech.
I think that you could argue there's kind of one for the captain, but it's brief.
Yeah, it's what I'd argue is like the prison itself, like, is the monster, kind of how what it takes away.
Well, what's
from
like the singular speech?
Well, I was gonna say,
coming from Red? Is that?
I think that that's the speech about the institution. Yes, there's a praise of the killer speech. Oh, I got it. Hold on a second, I got it. Let me bring it up because we're on our last one, so I can drag this out a little bit. He says, "These walls are funny. First you hate them, then you get used to them. Enough time passes, you depend on them. That's institutionalization. They send you here for life, and that's exactly what they take."
So that's the praise of killer for Shawshank.
There you go. But there's also a praise of the killer speech that's wrong from Red about hope. right?
It's true.
Hope is a dangerous thing. It'll drive a man crazy. Hope doesn't belong here. That definitely sounds like a praise of the killer speech, just like the institution itself, and he's proven wrong. So anyway, look at that. See, what was that? 20 techniques that we didn't even put on our list.
Yeah, just burn right through. Maybe we should just make the podcast that we just list them all one time, and then every episode we just go, okay, we're doing RoboCop. We just go.
Does
right
it have
down,
a rooting resume? Yep.
Every episode could be 10 minutes.
It'll feel
long.
like the rewatchables.
Right.
Anyway, that was fun.
That's
good. A little. Maybe I should change it from subvert it to something else if we do it again, but I don't think we'll ever do that.
Use it or loses it or something.
Yeah, maybe there's 3 categories: yes, no, subverts it, or something.
Yeah. Yes, no,
uses it, loses it, subverts it.
Yeah.
There you go.
Well, yeah. With that, I wanted to say before we end too. We've done both of your favorite movies, right?
Yeah.
We did Raiders, and
so there you go.
Porky's too. We did Porky's too.
We're Porky's too. I mean, I think RoboCop's as close as we'll get to my favorite movie. My favorite movies are weirder than you guys.
Okay.
So yeah, I doubt we're gonna do Bogus Journey. We could, but we don't need to. So RoboCop would be, I would say RoboCop. But do you guys have anything you want to plug?
I don't think I have anything I want to plug, so I will say I'll say my usual. Go buy one of my novels. You can buy The Haunted Girl, or there's kids books like The 44 Rules of Amateur Sleuthing, or Monster Stompers, or if you like Alien and The Thing, get Nomad. I think that's all my books.
Jimmy?
I don't have anything to plug. I'll say if you got any questions, we won't wait 2 seasons to answer them. We'll find a way to get them in, and I still think we're gonna try to weave in some of the ones that didn't get discussed on our.
We used to answer
4 hour.
Yeah.
We were on a good span of 4 episodes in a row where we answered one at the end. So, but you can email us at writersblockbusterspodcast@gmail.com. And I personally, I just want to say, it's kind of insane that we've done 150 of these.
Nuts.
It doesn't feel like that long ago that we met in Bob's little room down there around the round table.
Yeah. And now it's all different, but whatever. It's 150 episodes. I just wanted to plug, I guess I got 2 things. One, there's a fan of our show named my friend John Walker. I don't know if you two know him, but
I recognize him.
He asked me,
I know John.
He has his own multi-show podcast or whatever. And he asked me to start doing a segment with him once a month called Not Great Bob.
Which I fucking love that reference.
Yeah, I know. It's not it's his podcast. It's on his podcast is called FYIZ. That's what it's called. FYIZ, Podcast by John. It's available everywhere. Some of the episodes are with me. We just released one. It's his show, but it's basically the 2 of us bullshitting about whatever we want. It's a lot of fun. I just wanted to plug it. John's a fan of the show. He also has his own movie podcast that has way more episodes than us. I think 600 or something.
Wow.
Or 500. Movie Schmovie. So check that out too. And also, weirdly enough, I just remembered back in the pandemic early days, I edited a video. It's on YouTube. It's what if Shawshank Redemption had an 80s montage? And I was going out of my mind. I was depressed. So I was I need something to do. And I edited the entirety of Shawshank if it was to the song from Monster Squad.
That's nice. I don't know how I haven't seen that.
It's on my YouTube channel 6 years ago.
How the hell have I missed that?
I don't care if no one watches it. I just thought it's funny that I was that. Oh yeah, right. I made a Shawshank video a long time ago. It's just if the entire movie was an 80s montage, and that's it. So there you go. Watch that or don't. I don't care. That's everything.
Yeah. Thanks for listening, everyone, especially to those who have listened to all 150 episodes. Thank you.
Well, that would be crazy. Get a life.
Yeah. God, do something else.
What's wrong with you?
Watch more movies. Listen to less podcasts. All right,
No,
bye.
please listen to 151.
Shame our listeners.
Right. All right, bye. Hey, this is Bob Rose, and thank you for listening to Writers Blockbusters. If you'd like to financially support the show, please consider joining my Patreon. I've been producing the podcast for several years completely out of pocket, and I'd like to keep producing it ad-free and no longer at a loss. If you'd like to help, head on over to patreon.com/Bob Rose Sucks. That's right, Bob Rose Sucks. And if you want the one and only Jimmy George to help polish up that writing project you're kind of struggling with, head on over to scriptbutcher.com. As a listener, you already know he's the best there is, scriptbutcher.com. You can also support the show by simply sharing it or leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. We appreciate both. Thank you for listening, and see you next episode.